GG! The Mouthful Podcast is brought to you by GoodGame.rock, the most welcoming gaming community on Facebook. Visit us at www.goodgame.rocks.
Making pancakes. Making pancakes.
But you know, poor body.
Making pancakes. Making
Microphone check, 1 2 1 2.
Microphone check. GG! 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 Yeah, that's what I like. As long as I don't get reds. But then I don't like to be on top of the microphone. So, yeah, this is good.
So don't be
This
on
is
top
good
of the
enough.
microphone.
Huh?
So don't be on top of the microphone.
No, I
Give
don't
it some
know.
space. Give it some air
Yes.
to breathe. Remember, you're supposed to go 90. They go the 10.
I'm more of a 80-20 kind of guy. 70-30, you know, if I'm feeling leisurely.
If I'm feeling playing hard again. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 50-50, I'm just not in it.
Yeah.
At
At
that
this point,
point,
I'm only there if you're there. You know?
yeah, exactly. I'll meet you in the middle.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Oh, that's awesome. Welcome back, guys. This is Arnaldo, aka Mad Dog, and that is David, aka Dream Twister, and this is the real episode 271 of GG's The Mouthful Podcast.
We have made 271 episodes of GG for some reason.
For some reason, indeed, we are still doing this, and I love it.
Yes.
Regardless
This is
of
our
how many
excuse.
people are actually listening to us on the other end.
You know, we have a Friday night, you know, we're you know, you got, especially, you know, the married and the young couples, and you might feel some sort of like obligation to like take your wife somewhere because it's Friday night, you know, we have the perpetual excuse that, honey, it's podcast day. Yeah, but nobody listens to it. And we're like, but one of these days someone will.
No, my excuse has always been, so we know that it's not a lot of folks, but there is those lonely few that will
Yes.
be hurt if we're not there to yell and scream in their ear and talk
Yes.
nonsense for 3
Yes.
hours, you know, and we can't let them down. We can't let them
No.
down. You who are
No.
listening right now, we're here because we
For
don't
you.
want to let you down.
No, exactly. We're doing this. First we were doing it for ourselves. Let's be real. You know, this was the excuse of, oh, we can't hang out anymore at work because we don't even have the same schedules. So we can't just go out and take our breaks at the same time and walk around the building and talk about the games that we played and do all the shit that we're now recording for perpetuity because we're putting it on the internet, and whatever goes on the internet never gets
Yeah,
erased.
forever. Yep.
But no. At first, it felt like that, and those episodes were short, or like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. They started getting elongated, and now it's an hour, and now the episodes are for you guys.
Yeah.
And
Now
we
the
give you
sky's the limit.
3. Yeah, we give you 3.5 hours because we realized that you have a long fucking week, you know, and you probably have a lot of chores, and you probably don't want to work at work, but you still have to pretend like you are. So you put a set of headphones and you listen to us, and it's like, hey, I'm with the guys, you know?
Yeah, exactly. The guys
Yeah.
are here once again.
Once again, exactly.
To
Exactly.
fill your ears with the melodies of gaming and movie craziness.
Yes.
I want to ask you something completely off topic here, but I have been meaning to ask you this. Tomasino's, when the last time you ordered from them?
1974.
Oh, sorry, it's been a while, so you probably want to jump on this particular dish called pasta Viviana, and I think that you would love it.
Tomasino's pasta. This podcast is not brought to you by Tomasino.
No, it's not sponsored at all by Tomasino. Although if you are in the Seminole County, Florida area, do yourself a favor and order some Tomasino's pizza. Just saying.
Yes.
Some of the best pizza outside of New York.
Tell them Mad Dog sent you.
So that they can go, who?
And
Who
you
the
can
hell is
go,
that?
just give me some sort of discount. Come on.
I know.
I heard
You
it
know
on
you
the
know him.
podcast.
Come on.
You know,
Yeah.
I heard it on a podcast, and it wasn't about Loot Crate, or it wasn't about what's the other one? Thomas Shave Club, or whatever, or Dollar Shave
the
Club,
Harry's,
or whatever
Harry's,
that.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Harry's, or whatever that announces in the podcast nowadays. That they don't want to return my calls. Just say that Mad Dog sent you for 0% off your next offer.
They may actually charge you more. I'm just saying, just be careful.
They might give stink eye included with every order. Just mention that Gigi's Mouthful Podcast. By the name, it sounds like we might as well be a food podcast, right? I mean, you like to cook and you like to eat.
I do, but that's 50% of us, and I don't know. That's enough for a
the other
podcast.
perspective. I'm here to talk about how much food stinks. If I had the chance of not eating, if I had a superpower that allowed me to be sustained without wasting time eating, to live, then the world will be all better. We have all the resources, actually. All the cows will still live.
This is true. Yeah, they would still go. Although apparently their gas is killing the ozone. But anyway,
that will tell us to stop farting.
how do they do that? It's a normal. Anyway, Pasta Viviana, sir, is amazing. You need to try it.
I don't see it on this menu. Is this like a special that they give? Are you ordering from the secret menu that they give you?
I hope
Because
not,
it's
online, so I assume
Pasta
it's available
Viviana.
for everyone. Pasta Viviana. It's under their pasta.
Pasta Viviana. Here we go.
Yeah,
Take our typical tropical village family style pasta. Combine flavors of fresh bacon. Ooh, you already got me there. Garlicky onions. Yeah, more. And grilled chicken. Ooh, seared together and tossed in a Parmesan creamy Alfredo sauce top with green lemon. And our Vivi loves it. So will you. All right. So you know what? Is Vivi approved? I'll take it.
Yeah. You need to
Shit,
try
I'm
it
gonna
out.
have to order it now. Now I'm getting hungry for real.
I literally had that for dinner, and it's just one of those dishes, man. Oh, he's seriously gonna order.
You want pizza?
No, order some for her too. I think she'll like it.
She's doing. Oh, she's doing keto, so it don't matter. So this works. Oh wait, no, they can't have pizza. Fuck.
They can't have. You can't have pasta.
Damn it, they can't have pasta either.
No,
Fucking religion,
no carbs,
man.
I know.
We're keto-ians.
It's worse than vegans.
No, there's not such thing. That is the lowest level of.
I gotta tell you, bro. And for
They are
anybody
superior to us, but that's what makes them. That's what makes them hate. What makes me hate them.
Yeah, I gotta say, and if you're a vegan listening, understand that obviously this comes from a place of maybe ignorance, but I've had vegan food and it's not, and don't get me wrong, and it's not disgusting for the record. I have had it and whatever. It's just nowhere near.
There's no chance to be disgusting. It's just leaves and stuff. You don't get an opportunity. You don't get like.
Here's the funny part. The part that I never understood is like, so you don't want to eat meat, but you need to create food that looks and tastes like me. You know what I'm like? But why you just don't eat the?
It's required.
It's I guess I don't know, man. I don't know, but
you don't understand the struggle. That's what makes them superior to us. The fact that they're above us on that plane of existence. You see, they are capable of automatic sustainability without partaking of any dairy of every meat.
Yeah, no dairy, no meats,
nothing with a face.
Yeah. Nothing with a phrase
nothing
or
with
a
parents.
byproduct of meat.
Or a byproduct,
A byproduct
exactly.
of something. Yeah.
And somehow they still manage to live, and that's kind of impressive. They're metahumans.
they still manage to.
So it's like this.
They still survive for some reason.
Making not having bacon.
I can tell you. I can tell you right now. I wouldn't even try it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even. I've had like vegetarian dishes and stuff like that. Sure. But what I'm saying is to have it like a permanent whatever. There's just no way. I just as a Latino, it's just who spent so much time as a kid in Huavate, which is a well-known place that specializes in suckling roasted pig.
Yes.
It's just like their specialty.
Pig feet and stuff like that. I'm sure
like,
that would just make all the vegans hurl.
Oh yeah. And they've stopped listening, so that goes into
exactly. Well, I mean, if you're vegan, you shouldn't be listening to us. You're at another level. You should be listening to like Kind of Funny, or no, actually, even above that. What was that other one? From the guy that you always recommend me.
Sacred Symbols.
Yes, there you go. Oh, the Sacred Symbols. Exactly. You should be listening to the Sacred Symbols. Dear Lord.
I don't think they would, because there's no fans of vegans there, for the record. Just FYI.
And listen to Colin Moriarty.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god. Thank you so much for sticking around, vegans. If you're still here, thank you so much.
We pruned them out already.
Did you? Oh, so it's gone. It's over.
Yeah, they're gone. Now we can actually have a podcast.
Now we can really talk some meat.
Exactly. Yeah.
Slap something on the grill.
We'll be here, as they say, chewing the fat.
Oh, hey, I'm all right with that.
Yeah, I'm all right with that too.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. As always. And if you haven't been, actually, more likely, if you have not been, please go to goodgame.rocks. Join the conversation there. It takes you right to our Facebook group. And, of course, please like, subscribe, share the podcast with everyone. What we normally do, guys, first is we go into what we have been up to, move on into various news items, and, of course, we finish with our hot topic of the week. This week's hot topic. Let's talk about GitGud.
Get good, bro.
Get good.
That's what all our vegans frenemies tell us. You can't eat. You can't be vegan.
Just get good. Get good at eating. Yeah.
Get good at eating. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. This is exactly what that was going to be about. No. Obviously, well, first off, a recent story talking about the, putting an end to the get good culture, which, to an extent, I kind of get. But there's more to be said about that. I think we'll just leave that for the hot topic itself. But
that's right.
It's going to be interesting, and it's definitely going to be maybe a little heated. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But let's go ahead and start with what we always start with, and that is, what have we been up to, Mr. Santos? What you been doing, sir?
Final Fantasy 7 Remake. Oh, damn it. I said I wasn't going to do it.
Did you finish it again?
It's okay, because I finished it. Again. So you guys don't have to put up with me talking about Final Fantasy 7 Remake anymore.
As good the second time?
I will argue that it felt better.
Oh,
and in the sense, yeah, I do want to touch on that just briefly. My experience of playing Final Fantasy VII Remake a second time makes me vegan. Ha ha ha. No. It actually, it still feels like a revelation. Mm-hmm. Even if you're actually getting surprises, even though you know what's about to happen. The surprises come from realizing oh man, I missed that. Oh, that's what they meant. That's what he or she meant when they say whatever. A lot of moments like that with Aerith. a lot of moments like that with like the, you know how we were the first playthrough we were complaining about into the introduction of the, I forgot what they were called, and I just played it.
Well, the
not
hooded spirits.
yeah, the hooded ghostly things. They have a name. I don't remember what it is, but that they don't make an appearance on the original Final Fantasy, you know, from the original PlayStation back in the day. There's just kind of like a new addition here, and it felt like they were going like, they're going a little bit too Kingdom Hearts-ish on this, apparently, or we kind of let that assumption, because nothing could get fucking Kingdom Hearts more Kingdom Hearts than Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts just throw random nonsense, and well, anyway, I shouldn't be talking about that. So I realized that the game does a very good job at giving you rediscoveries. Yeah, there you go. That's a word, rediscoveries. When you play it a second time, and I will invite you, Mad Dog, to go at it, a second time. It's a good game. I will put it. I think I'm ready to actually nominate this as probably in the list of my favorite games of all time.
Oh,
I think I'm putting it there, so on the list. I'm not saying it's topping or anything like that, but I just
let's
realized.
Be real. There's never going to be a one. There's always going to be a list, because any time of the week and any time a specific point in your life, one is going to be better than the other, and then suddenly later on it reverses itself. So it's always going to be a list. I hear you.
You see, I can see that, and I agree, actually, even to an extent. I've always put them in the sense of, well, how did I feel playing this game? And I've always had the one that I've always loved, that I always like to say, oh, this is my favorite game of all time. But you're right. At some point, I might say something else is my favorite game of all time, because it's not really definite. Like today, I feel like, oh, it's StarCraft, but I might feel in another time, oh, it's Dragon Age Origins or something like that. But this one, the reason I consider it one of my favorite games is because I love when games give me a sense of space, of location, like immersion. You might say, like. It does a really good job of positioning the character where they're at in relation to the rest of the world. And what I mean by that, for example, is, the whole entire game takes place in Midgar, Well, the game does a pretty good job of, every time it takes you to a different part of Midgar, it kind of reminds you that you're not in this isolated area, unless it happens to be an isolated area like a lab or something like that. But let's say if it's in the slums, you look up and there you see the plate above the major plate above you, with the sunlights, and you see them from a distance, and at a later chapter you play and you're actually navigating through those sunlights, and you're like, oh shit, these are, of course, these are the lights that I see from above. It's like I see the whole the whole way they work, and then you look down and there's the slums, and you see you look at the city, and if it's as nice, especially they do a pretty good job of making it look like a legitimately beautiful scenery. I think I sent you a picture of one where I was in the one of the top floors of the Shinra building, and it was like this observation area that. It brings me memories of a lot of observation areas of like different, like either hotels or buildings that I've been, or even at the airport sometimes, that you're like high up there, and you're looking down at the city, and especially at night, it looks, it looks lived in, and if you remember from like the first hours of the game where you blow up the reactor, well, guess what? You look at that area where that reactor will be, and it still shows the reactor blown. Like, obviously, it's like things that you will expect them, but you'll be surprised at how many games fail to do that.
Yeah. To give you a sense of place, yeah.
Exactly. And a lot of games do a really good job, but I think this one excels at that. And it doesn't matter where I was in Midgard, and granted, all the areas are kind of like, I mean, they're just compartmentalized areas, right? It's not Skyrim. You're not seamlessly moving from area to area. It gives you that impression until you meet the edge of the area, and then it loads you into the next part. It does that. But I realized that in here it is very, it is very like the sense of place. It is very convincing, and I really like, especially of all the of all the things about the game that I enjoy. I really like that. I already spoken of how much I love the music. I already spoken of how much I love certain areas in the game. Freaking Wall Market is like my favorite part in the game. As far as a place to be and to hang out, Wall Market is like, man, because at some point, like if you suspend your mind a little bit, it feels like you're actually there. Even though this is not a VR game, this is not a first person game or any type, you couldn't relate less to the character itself, to Cloud, because just the way Cloud acts sometimes and whatnot. But the world is so well crafted, and I have to, for all the shit that I give Square Enix, a lot of times, and the please be excited and stuff like that, I gotta really commend on what they did, on what they did here, because they fucking turned me around. I remember that was at one point I was worried about, like, I don't know, I don't know how this game is actually end up looking like. This character look kind of silly, and yeah, to be fair, they kind of still do, but it is not as jarring considering what they were going for. I think they did a astounding job. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to mention that because I felt like all the time that I've spoken about this game, I was one of the parts that I missed was that sense of being at that location, and how the little things I noticed, like the fact that it's not a plate and then the slums at the bottom. If you remember in the opening section of the game, at the very beginning, they inserted this portion that's nowhere on the original PlayStation intro. The original PlayStation intro starts with Aerith, and ding, ding, ding. Yep. Well, that actually, this game doesn't start with that. It starts with a little bit showing you around the city, and you wonder, like, oh, what is this area? And because it looks, it doesn't look like the elite area of the top plate. And no, there's actually like a middle plate kind of situation going on where this is my mind making this up because I haven't read of any lore, but I imagine like the salaryman live there. That's the part where like everybody
they're
else, like the middle class.
Yeah, but they're exactly.
Yeah. I imagine that's like the suburbs of Midgard, and then he has that train, and the train like it seems to go in a spiral. All those details, man. I love going through that game that second time, and that I don't tend to do that a lot with games.
For sure.
But at the very least, if you're not planning on jumping in again because the first time you felt like you grabbed enough, or if you have heard me talk enough already about the things, and there's not gonna be any rediscovery for you because I have spoiled them all. At least, do yourself a favor, play the DLC, or the what you call the Yuffie DLC.
The Yuffie.
Yeah, because it is. I was gonna say it is integral, but it is called Interguard or something like that. It is. It's not. How to say it? It's not integral to the story. Like it's not like part of the story directly, but it's a nice introduction to that character. And because I mean, at the end of the day, that character is gonna be what that character is gonna be, right?
Yeah,
It's gonna be. You already kind of know that they're going for like the type of childish, a little bit annoying, but still, very cool.
just like she was in the original. Yep.
Just like she was in the original.
Only now with a voice.
Yes, exactly. Only now with a voice. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. The end. Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's the last time you're gonna hear about. I mean, probably not, but I did start playing something else.
Okay.
And this is the last game actually that I've been playing. I haven't jumped into a lot of things, but I started playing Judgment again. From the beginning.
Oh, Judgment. Oh, from the
Yes.
beginning. Damn.
Judge Eyes, or whatever it's called in Japan. Judgment. The reason I started playing it again was because, well, the sequel has already been announced. You guys saw it on the last of Sony's Direct. You saw more, a little bit more gameplay and trailer, and even though those games are, you kind of know what to expect, but it still looks like something I want to play. And to be fair, I was really, really, really enjoying the story of Judgment. And to be fair, that's mostly what you played. This game, I feel like the gameplay part of it, it's already like to say it's a little bit long on the tooth. It'll be an injustice. This game feels old already. Gameplay wise, like I mean,
yeah, it is something that's been since PlayStation 2.
PlayStation 2 era, I mean? Exactly,
so, and it really hasn't iterated much.
No. Yeah. It doesn't feel like. It feels like the advances in technologies are small. Right? Like they're not. I mean, maybe that's not fair to say, but what I'm trying to say is like you could tell a modern game, and you can tell when you're playing a game that you just by just the playthrough, just like the gameplay of it, it feels like, oh man, this feels old, whether it's, I don't know, having tank controls or something like that. And no, Judgment does not have tank controls. I'm just trying to give an example, because I don't know, there's something about the fighting and the movement around the city where it's not taking advantage of next gen consoles at all. And I'll tell you the reason why I'm playing it from the beginning is because I was forced to play it from the beginning if I wanted to play the game on PS5. So
the save doesn't carry over.
The save does not carry over. No reason whatsoever for that to be, because it is the exact same fucking game. Only improved frame rate and worse graphics.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah,
the trade-off on this game did not pay off at all. Let me tell you how disappointed I was. Well, I kind of had it coming because I knew I was getting into. I saw the trailer, and like we analyzed the trailer a little bit. We noticed that there were certain sections that were like, oh man, but the PlayStation 5 version looks kind of like washed out, and the textures, look kind of flat compared to the PS4 version, and the lighting seems off. But that was that early trailer. I figured, okay, maybe they're still working on it. You can still play it at 60 frames per second. Woohoo! I was excited about that part. Well, the work that they've done on this port, this is a really bad port. Unfortunately, yes, the game runs at 60. I feel like the PlayStation 4 version would have run at 60 no problem if it wasn't for some sort of like artificial limit that they must have put in the game, because this game does not take advantage of the PlayStation 5 console at all. Doesn't even have HDR, bro.
Oh wow!
Not even HDR.
The PlayStation 4 games have HDR.
Yeah, exactly. Now, to be fair, I think the PlayStation 4 version of Judgment also didn't have HDR. I could be wrong, but I tested it here because one of the things I was noticing was that, man, these colors look. It's not that it's bad; it's that they look horrible. Like the blacks are very crushed. Like there's areas that I remember seeing detail that I not seeing here. The game gives you the option to adjust the brightness. Where it tells you, adjust the settings until you can barely see, whatever image is, and then it shows you like a
the gamma settings or some shit like that.
Yeah, like a black screen or white screen, or sometimes they put the black and the white screen on the same screen, and you're supposed to like move, make adjustment to the brightness until you could actually barely see an item, whatever, a logo, whatever it is that they put. Well, unless I literally turn that all the way to the max, to 100% brightness, to where everything was looking washed out in my TV. I have an LG B6 OLED. Unless I move that shit all the way to 100% brightness, that's the only time where I was barely able to see the things it tells you that that you want to be able to. No, the game tells you that you should be able to clearly see them. In this case, instead of the setting tells you that you need to be able to clearly see them. I'm like, there's no fucking way I can't. So that tells me that either the game's not recognizing like what type of gamut range it wants to run, or I checked the PS5 settings to make sure that I hadn't like decalibrated something by mistake. I tried all the settings. I tried putting it forcing no HDR, forcing HDR, changing 10-bit to I forgot what the option there. But needless to say, I went back and forth with the settings on the PlayStation 5 and the TV with no way of making this game look better.
So it's not. So it's not the system or the TV. It's definitely the game.
I would. I will have to because I put the PlayStation 4 version and that looks fine. So I don't know what they did here, but they didn't take much care of this port. Also, they tell you that all the DLC is included, but the DLC is like tchotchke bullshit. It's not like you got extra missions or anything like that. It's like, oh no, it's the stuff that they'll probably like nickel and dime you for like $1 or $2. Like, oh, you get it all. It's like, woohoo. Yeah. So I am very disappointed with that.
That sucks.
That's for a port of your last gen game to say the last gen game looks better than the new one. It's a shame, bro. It's a shame. I'm still playing it because I'm still finding the story very very intriguing. Like those games, the strength of those games is the storylines, the story that they give you, and yes, the fighting does get better as you unlock stuff. It actually makes your character feel smoother, and it's funny. It's almost funny. It's almost like your character feels very stiff and very, couple of generations back gameplay, and as you're improving him with experience, you're kind of bringing him. You're trying to bring exactly. You bring him to like, okay, now he plays like a normal, game, normal PS4 game, because it is a PS4 game. So well, anyway, we have spoken about Judgment. I understand that you gave it a whirl at some point, didn't you?
I did. I put in probably a good, I don't remember how long, but I put a good amount of hours into it. And I fell off. I mean, at that point, Nick ended up borrowing, and he played the entire thing. He just went.
Yeah.
He's played them all. So I mean,
he played them all. Yeah, he is a fan.
Yeah, he's significantly a fan. Personally, I think
I own them all, but no, I haven't played them all.
Yeah, personally,
there's some of them that I haven't even taken out of the shrink wrap.
Yeah, you've been having since forever. Personally, I think that they're okay. Never thought that they were great. Maybe the first one, but again, the first one I played back on PlayStation 2. And back on PlayStation 2, I was like, damn, this is kind of cool. You have this entire city to be in. The city was actually really well designed.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the prettiest game, one of the prettiest games on a PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Now it's still the same city. You know what I mean? It still has the same look. Sure, it's been up-res and all this stuff, but it's like it's
it looks good.
The generations looks later,
good, but yeah,
and it still looks more or less the same. It's honestly, in my mind's eye, Judgment looks exactly the way the first PlayStation. Obviously, if I were to go back and play the first Yakuza, I would see, whoa, this is a lot older. But in my mind's eye, that's what it looks like. You know what I mean? So it's like it really hasn't advanced, and so I mean, I enjoyed my time with it. 15, maybe 20 hours. I enjoyed my time with it.
15, 20 hours. That's more. I would say,
but if I'm not mistaken, the game is like a good 80
no,
hour
they're long. They go for long, and at that point, I would have assumed that like if it doesn't grab you after 20 hours, then fuck it. It's not for you. It doesn't matter. It's okay. I understand. You also didn't care about the story on GTA 5, one of the best stories, also, but fuck it, whatever, I think at least the Japanese the Yakuza portion of it might entice you, but nope. It also didn't do anything.
Yeah. No.
So that's I cry with that. No, because the game is the story. I do enjoy. Yes, it's same Kamurocho. I get that. And to be fair, it's time to expand. If you give me that map, sure, okay. But now expand to the other areas around that map. Make a proper next gen Yakuza
has
game.
So many cities.
Yes,
it's like you do not have to. And I get it. Maybe you don't want to name a city, and then get people upset. Then,
but they do.
Do what you did with Kamurocho. Kamurocho is based on. It's not an actual city. It's based on another city. So do the same thing. You call it Rokio, and it's supposed to be Tokyo, or some shit like that.
Really? I didn't know that you were going for that.
So whatever the case may be, Rokio. Try something else. Yeah, some other location, and give it some its due that way. But
it has. To be fair, the game has opened up other areas. It's just that that even when you're on the other cities and the other city, they try to make it like Yokohama maybe, and they do a pretty good job of that, and it almost feels like a little bit smaller Kamurocho, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, whatever is the main thing that's gonna happen is gonna go down in Kamurocho. It feels like I've been in Kamurocho so many times already that like all my characters should know each other by now. Because one game, let's say your detective agency is in this building, you played the other game and oh yeah, that's the building where the detective agency is, but you can't go now because it's not this game, it's this other game now. And oh no, now it's an RPG game because the Yakuza games are now turn-based RPGs. So actually, I do want you to play that Yakuza. If you catch it on a,
it has to be a deep sale, bro. I mean, it has to literally. Come on, man. And honestly, only because it's turn based that I would even go. You know what? It's most people are really but that's how big of a difference. It's a huge difference. Turn based versus actual action game is a huge difference. So that alone can change how a game would feel. So
yes,
I would, but it would have to be a significantly deep sale. So I'm talking $20.
$10.
So you know what I mean?
Oh, there you go, $20. Yeah. Oh, dude, sold. If I see on $20, I'm buying it for you. Shit, I at least get your impressions because it's a fun RPG. Honestly, the only reason that was the plan. I wanted to go back to what's it called, Yakuza 7 at this point, or Dragon Fist, whatever is it that they call, like a dragon,
yeah.
It's like a dragon, yes. But then I remember, oh no, wait, I need to finish Judgment because first of all, I was enjoying that, I was enjoying the story quite a bit. I want to know what things are leading, and now they announced the sequel, so now I'm extra excited about it. I kind of want to go through, and I'm having a blast. I'm having a good time with it, even though I'm replaying a lot of things that I've done already because I haven't gotten to the point where I left on the PS4 version, but it doesn't matter because I'm still remembering like, oh yeah, this guy's a jerk, and well, how awesome is. And I mean, again, if that game has one thing like packed down, it is the story, and that I feel like those are the strength of those games. Is the story that it gives you, it's always interesting. It's always like this drama, like this Yakuza drama, that you go into, and you can feel like on the gameplay sections where it's basic shit that it's like, oh man, I was doing this probably on the PS2, and like, yes, if you're willing to put up with that, and some people won't, and that's okay. I cannot blame them for that. But if you're willing to put you to that, you will be given a very intricate story that will keep you entertained. Yakuza 0, a perfect way to start that series, and one of the best entries as far as the story and everything. That's a side quest there that made me cry, bro. I should tell you like how amazing it's really good, and the acting is always it's always top notch. I mean, it's very based on obviously Japanese dramas, which tends to be very dramatic on a lot of things, but it's convincing.
Okay.
Judgment for the PS5 though, avoid that. Play the PS4 version if you must. PS5. It's probably gonna be because it's probably you have a better. It runs at 30 because whatever, but this still looks better than the PS5 version.
Mm-hmm.
As far that's all I played. As far as anything that I've watched, I watched the season finale of Loki.
Oh.
And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Was it worth the trip, sir? I mean, God.
Was it worth the trip? Well, define worth. Is it mind blowing? No.
Does it have to be mind blowing though? I mean, is that what you go into shows like? Oh, this show needs to blow my mind.
I feel like
it's crap.
I feel like nowadays, I'm not as harsh. I wouldn't be as harsh as that. For me, if I say it's crap, it needs to be like, I am not having a good time watching this. And Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I'm talking to you, obviously. I was not having a good time watching that. But this one, I can say that I was entertained by what I was watching, but it like, this is not the season where they flex their muscles, where they flex their budget even. It's like,
did they blow? So in this case, This is kind of what this sounds like to me.
Mhm.
And you don't have to say yay or nay, but this is what it
Uh-huh.
is. Because a lot of shows, a lot of TV shows, particularly
Mhm.
nowadays, suffer from this. And that is you have the awesome pilot because it has to set something up, which you can even say Falcon and Winter Soldier's pilot was really, really good. And
Yeah, it
it
started
set the
strong.
tone as to, oh shit, this is going to be, you know what I mean?
Action packed
Yeah, yeah,
and
this is gonna be like
helicopters
watching the
and
Winter
shit.
Soldier, but through six episodes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And it doesn't. You know what I mean? And then you have a
Mhm.
lot of in between that you realize, okay, so yes, you do need to have some characterization. That's important, obviously,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
it just doesn't hit the same high. And either it tries to hit it at the end, but at that point you've already like, okay, of course you're gonna try something here at the end,
Mhm. Right.
or it doesn't even do that, and it leaves, it just kind of leaves you hanging. So um I feel like that's probably what ended up happening. Again, you don't have to say yay or nay.
Mhm.
But personally, I'm not. If it did, I'm not surprised. Because it's kind of been their mo. Like even Vision and
Mhm.
Wanda, saying that shit started off really strong, and then
No,
the end
yeah,
happened. And it's like, and the end was
I
not
like the end.
the.
I thought the end
I
was
I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying
no,
it's
no,
not
no,
as
no.
good as it started. You know what I'm saying? It's like it sort of fumbles in the end zone, if you will. You know what I
Mm.
mean? For me, and WandaVision did that. Falcon with the Soldier did that to a even worse extent.
Yeah.
And so it's just, at this point, it's like, okay, kind of feel
This
same thing
one
happened
this
with the Mandalorian. Same thing, you know what I'm saying? I'm
yeah.
and I don't want to point to Disney because there are other shows that do this too, but I'm just saying, we're on Disney Plus at the moment. So it's like it's almost the MO, you know what I mean? And I realized that these shows are literally like stopgaps between the next films. When
Right.
WandaVision is setting up everything that's happening with the new Doctor Strange. I don't
Mhm.
know what these guys are setting up, but I know that there's going to be another Captain America movie, and
Mhm.
Captain America's old. So who are we going with here? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
The
and
Winter Soldier. No, I'm kidding.
exactly. So and of course you have this one, and you have other films that are, again, it feels like these shows have the potential to be better than the film, but they still want you to go to the movie because that's where all the money is.
I just read something which I'm not gonna say because the article itself is very spoilery, which is another reason why I want you to watch this before you get spoiled on anything else. Um, but that pretty much like nails that theory that you're mentioning of, well, these movies are stopgaps setting you up for, well, what's coming next. And yeah, you're right, we don't know what Falcon the Winter Soldier may be setting up, but we do know that there's another Captain America
Yeah,
happening, so
yeah.
obviously. And even this one is like, oh, okay, yeah, I see what they're setting up here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I won't say.
Yeah, yeah. But that's
But
what I'm trying to say is that it feels like it's almost as if Disney doesn't have its. So we know
mhm.
or at least I know. I'm not going to say everyone knows. I know that the $7 they're charging is not enough. Okay. I know it. This is why Netflix has been moving their dial up for a while
Yeah.
because it's not enough. Disney makes the money at the theater, and they know that. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
what frustrates me here is that they can have some of the best television if they committed more, but they
Mhm.
don't. And instead you have, again, no, they want you to get excited, and then when you see a trailer for the next whatever movie and you go, oh shit, that's whatever, you know what I'm saying, we got to go see that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're okay with you staying home because they're going to charge you $30 to watch it on Disney Plus, but
Yeah.
they still want you to go to that's still where their heads are. And
Right.
it's just like, it just, to me, it feels half-assed. It's fucking studio malpractice. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's what it is. You know what I mean? We go back to that phrase. It's studio malpractice. Like, you are, because in the films, they got to nail that too, right? Because otherwise you walk out like, that was all right. That was a solid
Mhm.
3.5, 3. You know what I mean? It's like,
Mhm.
that's not what, that's not, it's like you're settling for 3s when you can do 5s. You know what I mean? And
Right.
if you just put a little bit into it, and I don't know, I'm frustrated at that. And I think that alone has me really just kind of sit back going with Loki, because I did
Mm.
like the first episode, but I just kept saying this is probably not going to keep up this pace, or it's going to go a different route. You know what I mean? Because again,
I'll
that's
tell
been
you
the
what.
MO.
I'll tell you what. The like, maybe not necessarily the closing of the season or whatever, but like the character and just the fuckery, because it's kind of insane. Like the absurdness of the whole thing
Mhm.
has me interested at the very least. It doesn't have me salivating like, oh my god. It doesn't do what other series do.
Yeah.
That I need to know what happens next. Whether it's because, man, that was an interesting, like an amazing cliffhanger, and oh my god, I can't believe that happened, and oh my god, this is gonna be awesome. Or it is, oh my man, I just have such a good time watching this series that I need to have more of those, like the Wonderful Miss Maisel, or whatever
Yeah.
it's called now,
Yeah.
the Marvelous
Well, did they
Miss
change the
Maisel.
Marvelous Ms. Maisel?
Yeah. Yes. So this one, at least, like, it didn't, like, I don't think Disney has done one that yet that I could go, that I could feel like, oh man, I need to. And granted, I watched The Mandalorian, but from what I've heard so far, it's like, okay, well, don't get your hopes up either.
You
But
might as well jump into it. I mean, you're
no,
not
no,
gonna
yeah,
dislike it. You know what I mean?
no, exactly. That's gonna be the next one. I already said, okay, at this point, I need to justify paying this, or I need to cancel it. And as long as I have it, why not? And
Yeah.
maybe I'll wait for Black Widow not to be $30 and then watch it, or who knows? So, although I'm never gonna pay $30 for, at that point, I go to the movie theater. I'll go to the fucking movie theater, because it's just me and my wife, so it doesn't make sense. So, but the series Loki at least left me with, okay, this wasn't particularly, a wow or anything like that. This was, it was entertaining, and set your expectations and just take it for what it's worth. It was not much, but that's fine. Probably, the characters at least make it interesting to continue, because
I
what's his
will
name?
watch it. I'm just.
Well, you need to. You need to watch it so we can talk about it, because I want to watch. I want to have the conversations freely.
Gotcha. Okay.
And also, like, again, they're not particularly long or anything like that. But I still like WandaVision a lot more. And I wouldn't necessarily say that, oh my god, WandaVision just fucking nailed it, like, all top to bottom. But WandaVision gave me a lot of what I wanted to see, which was, cool moments, interesting reveals. Every episode was interesting. Like, I didn't have the problem where I felt like the last episode, for example, didn't deliver, like it didn't stick the landing. Like, I thought, well, for what it is, for a TV show, like, this would have knocked everybody's socks off in the 90s or early 2000s. The problem is,
See, that's
we
what I'm
don't live on
saying.
that TV from that era anymore. Everything is Game
Your
of Thrones
response-
now, or you can't do it.
Exactly. Yeah, well, that's true. But your response is exactly the issue. The response is, well, for a TV show, it's
For
like
a TV show, yeah.
no. TV is such a way better way of telling these, long form stories, that it's like, no, this should be better than
Somebody
the
should
films.
teach them then. Because,
You know what I mean? Because you're telling me, and when I say you, I don't mean you. I'm saying like to Disney. So you're telling me that you can tell a better story in 2.5 hours than you can in a season of something. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no.
Sometimes that happens because when you don't have anything to say.
Well, if you have nothing to say, then yes, you have nothing to say. But
Yeah.
when it's a a major plot thing, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like you should be able to flesh all that out in
Yeah.
a season and really deliver an ending. You know what I mean? It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be
Yeah.
the end, but
No.
an ending, a wrap up of the current events. You know what I mean? And not just
So weird to hear you talk about wrapping up and endings. Just when last week we had a conversation where I think we were playing like different roles, like the roles were reversed.
so we're not going
So
into that now
funny.
because that will obviously
No, we're not. We're not.
but what I'm trying to say is that there are times where when it's wrapped up in a certain way, I can accept it because I
Mhm.
understand what they're trying to do. In other ones, when it's obvious it's not wrapping up because it's obvious it wants something else out of you. This is so obvious. I think this is what I'm trying to say. It's
Uh-huh.
so obvious what they're doing that it just disgusts me because it's like,
Mhm.
so what you're saying is this is what was the problem with Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 was a setup film. That's all that was. It was really, if you really, really look back at the entire, you just watched them all.
Yeah.
You can eliminate pretty much all of Iron Man 2, and really, what are you missing? Nothing. You're setting up the pieces. You know what I'm saying? And that is the issue. That's the issue. It's like that's what they're doing here. It's like you're not really committing to making this an amazing series. You're just using this as a stopgap to the next thing. And it's one thing if you're doing it and I don't know. It's another thing when it's so fucking blatant and obvious that it's just like, and I just get to the point where I'm like, I don't even want to I don't even want to watch. I don't even want to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, Loki had one episode at least that I could recall that I could say that I literally went like, wow. That I was excited. But of course it's
They always do. They always have that one episode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The Mandalorian has season 2 has one of my favorite episodes of anything Star Wars that I have seen, and they did it within a 40-minute episode.
Wow.
It looked and felt like I was watching a Japanese samurai film, but it wasn't samurai; it was Jedi's. You know what I mean? It's just like, this is fucking badass. You know what I mean?
Stick to this.
One episode was all they can muster. You know what I mean? Because there's 2 seasons of this fucking show. So, and that's the problem. And don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna expect them to hit it out the park every fucking episode. But it's like, I don't know, bro. I don't want to dwell on it. But it's just
when we had TV, like fucking good TV, like Breaking Bad, for
is
example,
one of the best things. The Wire is one of the best crime dramas. Fucking the one with the Cylons is one of the best.
The Battlestar Galactica,
yeah, it's one of the best sci-fi stuff until the end, apparently. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm trying to say is
still even worth the journey.
Yeah, that's true. That show, I tell you, I kind of got deep into the show, but I never actually got a chance to finish it. But it was the characters and how well they were developed and everything that made me almost burn through it all. You know, and I was just like, damn, I want to keep watching. You know, And when you don't have that, man, it's just like you're just resting on the character of, you know, the Winter Soldier or Falcon. You know what I mean? And no offense, Falcon, I like Falcon as a character. I don't know. I'm not 100% sold on his portrayal. And when he's the center of attention, it's even more obvious. You know what I'm saying? When you had Captain America and Falcon was there, it was like, okay, cool. He works because this guy's character, Anthony Mackie, you know, or the actor, he doesn't have to put that much. Here, being front and center showcases how Anthony Mackie's a little bit of not that good, you know, a little bit of a wooden guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Or you're not writing proper for, you know.
Or you're not correct. You're not directing and writing properly. Exactly. One of the two. Although I have seen other stuff with Anthony Mackie, which is why I kind of lean to that. But So anyway, it's just that's the reason why. So it's not really,
Yeah.
that I don't want to. It's just I feel like I'm gonna get more frustrated. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I've
Well, I mean,
already written off Star Wars. I don't need to be writing off the MCU soon.
no. Listen, I didn't write off MCU with the fucking the Winter Soldier. Even though Winter Soldier is one of my favorite movies of the cinematic universe of the Marvel. But no, I think with expectations, because the first thing I was going into it going like, okay, what the fuck is this? Just sounds insane. And then I watched that first episode, and when I finished that first episode, my first thought in my mind is like, I need to talk to Arnaldo about this because I am just not happy with a lot of the shit that is trying to tell me, and I don't know how I feel. I need to have a therapy session, and of course, you without having it. No, actually, no. I think you saw it, and you gave me the logical way of saying, oh, look at it this way. And once I looked at it that way, I was like, okay, well, at least I'm not angry anymore. So at least I might still don't know how I feel, but I know that anger is not one of them.
No
Maybe
longer
confusion.
one,
Yeah. Now I feel like once that I've seen this whole season, I want to have that conversation for different reasons, you know.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything here that I will say like, oh my god, dude, you just no, you have to see, this is crazy. No, it's more like, I don't know, do you accept it? Is this? I mean, it's more about execution. Let's put it this way. Now I just want to talk like the technical execution of this series.
Gotcha.
And see what you think, what you think about it. I am no longer bothered by the cosmic craziness, because now I have now I know that is what they're going for. You know, it's like, and sure, it's Loki, so we kind of expected it was going to get to that, but the way that this thing started bringing it to it, it's just another level, and I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about that, but now that I've seen it, now it's like, okay, well, it's actually still nonsensical. So who cares? It's like, none of this matters. It's probably going to be setting up some movie or something. Like, who cares?
Fair enough.
So, yeah, that's all I've been doing, sir.
Well, I, sir, have, as far as what I've been playing, it should come as no surprise
games
to anyone that I am still playing Dark Souls 3. I am
that's right.
The very end, my friend. I am at the last boss. And that's dangerous because I can easily walk away at any point.
That's the part where you decide not to continue. You can just be like, okay, I'm out.
I'm at the Soul of Cinders is the last boss. And at the kiln of the first kiln of fire, or the kiln of the first fire. And what I decided to do, because I was talking to Chaos about this, and he was like, dude, you need to play the DLC. And I'm like, okay. And then I asked him, do I need to finish the game to play the DLC? And he goes, no. It connects throughout the store, the world itself. And I'm like, okay.
Nice.
So I downloaded the DLC, restarted my whatever, and then now him and I are playing the DLC. I still want to be.
Wait, what I mean here? You guys could play this.
Yeah. There's this co-op in Dark Souls.
There's co-op in Dark Souls.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's a little bit weird. I have to summon him into my game, and if he dies, or if I die, then I have to summon him back. He comes in as one of the invaders, but not an invader. He comes to help me. You remember the invaders that come in,
right?
And it can be invaded at any point. And I don't really play that way. Generally, I play offline. So I'm like, no, fuckers, you're not fucking invading my ass. It's just not fucking happening. However, even playing offline, if you're embered, if you have one of your embers, which basically means you're now embered. It's going to take forever to explain what it is. But basically, you normally, if you're playing online, that's when someone can invade you, or you can like, here it's part of the story that you may be invaded by certain folks, by certain souls. You know what I mean? And it'll be the soul of the knight that helped out the boss you're about to fight or some shit like that. You know what I mean? And so, and obviously when you kill them, you pick up their items, and the items have a little bit of lore to explain who they are, and it all makes sense when you do all that.
Okay.
But that's about it. I don't play online, so the only thing that's ever invaded me is an NPC, not actual real people. And I have been invaded, of course, never fails. I finally go online so I can play with Chaos, and of course, not even half an hour in, some fucking guy decides to invade. But also jodieron, because now he had to fight. I guess he didn't know, and he had to fight him and me and Chaos. So.
I have a Chaos. Yeah. So that is Dark Soul insurance, basically.
Yeah, you have no idea what you're getting into, my friend. But anyway, we're gonna play the DLC together. One of those the Painted World of Ariandel, and the other one was the Ring City. And I only want to do the DLC that way because I want to finish the game by myself. I just feel it's an accomplishment to literally finish the main game by myself. And don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those that are just going in blind and just figuring things out for themselves. No. I get a new item, I pull out my phone and go, what does this item do? It's like, I am not wandering around like any. I have pulled out my phone a couple times where I'm just like, okay, I just took out this boss. Now, the way it works, you take out a boss. Usually there's a path either to the left, to the right, or behind where the boss was, and that continues the path, Occasionally, no. There's nothing there. You just took them out, and now you're at in this building, and now where do I go? And I'll wander for a little bit and say maybe there's something I trigger or something like that. But at some point I'm like, okay, I can't wander no more. Where do I need to go? And so I'll look it up. And that's basically how I play, because I don't really have that. I don't have time like that. You know what I mean? If I had all the time in the world, then maybe would invest in just learning it as I go. But that's not how this game's ever been anyway. When these games first come out, forums are lit up with people asking questions and whatever, because that's the type of game it is. It requires conversation between the people to figure stuff out, because it's so obtuse sometimes when it comes to that type of stuff,
Yeah.
So that's why I don't ever feel bad by having to pull out my phone and look to, okay, where do I need to go? What do I need to do here? And but anyway, and the Soul Cinder. So I'm not going to take them out yet. I'm going to finish the 2, which would help hopefully, because the Soul Cinder is fucking pain in the ass. He has
that's DLC, so who cares? You play that with Chaos, and that's the win button right there.
Well, yeah, exactly. The DLC and the DLC apparently is significantly hard, and I know, because when I downloaded it, I started saying to myself, I'm just gonna do these DLCs by myself, and I looked it up. Said, what's the recommended level? 50. Oh, that's fine. I'm level 70. I'm good. No, bro. No, these fucking DLCs are like challenge. Like, these are like real deal Holyfield shits. You know what I mean? It's like, man.
I just had the perfect idea for an even harder Dark Souls DLC.
Oh.
The Dark Souls DLC is so hard that you buy it, or you try to buy it, but your card gets declined for no reason. And you have to figure out what the fuck happened. That your card
you're calling your bank. You're calling. What is it? There's nothing wrong. I don't know what it is.
No, you can't get to anyone. That's the thing.
Oh, shit.
They throw you on a foam labyrinth, and then that's the first challenge. You have to get to security somehow, and yes, that's how difficult it gets.
That would be.
You beat it when you
don't even know. That's one of those Kojima ones. You don't even know that this is a problem that's even connected. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, yeah, sure.
Oh, dude, I honestly, like, I wanted, and I'm just gonna tell you about Loki real quick. Not spoil anything. I just want to say, I was hoping once I finish it. Once I saw the episode, I was hoping that, because of the way that it ended, I was like, okay, maybe something crazy will happen, and this time it's not going to be the post credits or anything like that. It's gonna be something crazier, because it's Loki. They're gonna go something special, and then you finish watching it, and then the menu shows something that says, in this case, it was you want to continue watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier or something like that. And I'm still thinking like, oh, that's a trick. There's something's gonna happen. You'll see, something crazy. I kept thinking like, how cool would that be if they just play with your expectations like that? But nope, nothing like that. No. Unfortunately. So Dark Souls.
So yeah. So anyway, so what I'm gonna do is now that I go through those DLCs, obviously level up with whatever I get out of the DLCs, and then go back and take out the Soul Cinder, because that fucker right there he's a pain in the ass. He's got two stages, or at least two, because I made it to the second stage. So if he has a third, I wouldn't know. You know what I mean? And of course, obviously, if you die, you're starting the stages over again. But his first stage, he has he has 4 stance. He's either going to come at you with a spear, he can come at you with a sword, come at you with a dual sword, or come at you like he's a mage. And he can switch in between, like the entire phase. He can easily switch from something else, and each one of those require a different method of getting around. You know what I mean? It's like I figured out to do with the spear, because he's a pain in the ass, and if he hits you with the spear, it's like a large chunk of energy gone. So I figured him out. But the moment he changes to the mage, eso mejor de mí, because I'm like, now I have to get close to him, but I be careful because he uses magic that makes him, like, if you're too close, he can hit you with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, fuck, So anyway, I'm still loving it, for the record. I absolutely love it. It's one of the. I remember mentioning before the Lord of Cinder song, which blew me away when I first heard it, because I never would expect that to be the last song in a Dark Souls match. It's completely different from all the other songs. Completely. You know what I mean?
He's playing Snake Eater the whole time.
No, you remember I played it for you. It was the little piano
no,
thing.
I know. Yeah.
So there is a choice that I made in this game, and this, I can say this is spoilers, but unless you look up the lore, you're not even gonna know. You may not even know this is the fucking decision you made. So, but the Firelink Shrine is where you always go back and you get, you power up and you get your souls to the Firekeeper and level up and stuff. And I made a decision in the game, which I know is going to probably lead me to not rekindle the flame and to just let the flame go out, which is what there's a portion of the populace that want that, and the majority of people just want to keep life going the way it is, And the moment
to say dark,
to keep the fire going. That's normal. You have to rekindle the fire and keep it going for another 100 years, whatever.
Gotcha.
So the Firelink Shrine always had this playing.
That's somber as fuck.
That's the Firelink Shrine, and this is whenever you go back, right? Because you can warp at any of the bonfires, right? And it's just this somber music. You don't even really pay attention to it. I mean, at first you hear it, but then you're like, you're not really paying attention. You just kind of move on and go check with the armor, see if he can do something new for you, check the item lady, whatever. You rarely listen to it, right? Then when I made that decision, I went back to the thing, and this is the song. Same Firelink Shrine. Only thing I did was make a different choice on something. You know what I mean?
And you don't know what it was.
I mean, no, I know now what it is. I know, or at least I think that's what it is. I think it is. It's basically leading to, like, this is it. This is the fire will ever burn.
I've cursed this out forever.
I mean, possibly. But
wow,
the subtle change of the music, dude. The guys behind this particular game, they just get it. You know what I mean? These little things where it caught me off guard, because I'm just going. I started wondering, is there something different? I started looking around the entire shrine. I was like, something has to be different, because why is it suddenly so somber? Why is this? Not even somber. It just feels like like it's almost the music saying, "These are the last days." I'm
Yeah.
just like, why?
Yeah.
Why is it sounding like this? And
I love when games do that.
oh,
Persona
so
3 says
good,
hi.
bro. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Persona 3 did that. Persona 3 did that. It was amazing.
I love it because of the fact that it just I knew what was happening, and or at least I'm figuring based on the bits of information I have, and I have watched some lore video,
Uh,
some because I'm like I want to understand more of what's going on, and the game really does unless you're reading this stuff, it really doesn't give you a lot, and you'd have to read it all and then kind of put names to faces and all this stuff, and it's just like it's just easier to get a quick video, and so it's got fascinating stuff, and I really I'm not gonna spend any more time with it, talking about it because obviously I've spoken about it before, but I just found that so cool, and
yeah.
it really just solidified how I cannot wait for Elden Ring. I really, really want.
Yeah.
I want to be with Dark Souls 1. I was late to the game itself. It was several years after it came out, and the reason I did it, believe it or not, you may not even remember this, but the reason I never even played it is because I avoided Demon Souls because you told me to avoid Demon Souls.
Yeah, I told you to what?
To avoid Demon Souls on the
Oh,
PlayStation 3.
to avoid it?
To avoid it, yeah. You were telling me
Oh,
of an
why?
experience that you had with it, and it was one of those things like, oh, that doesn't sound fun at all. You know what I mean?
Oh, maybe the difficult. Yeah, but I'm a wuss when it comes to those.
I don't know what it was. I think if I remember correctly, you had used an item or you had used something. You didn't know what it was, and now you were at half health, and there was nothing you could do about it, or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Which ended up there ended up being a way to.
Oh, I'm sure there
recuperate
is
for that,
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
was so obtuse that I would have never figured it
Yeah.
out, and that was back when I didn't know those games you actually had to play with the wiki open, and so it's like, yeah, I was like, fuck this game. But
So
yeah, I
that
remember now.
alone threw me away from the Soul series. And then when I played Dark Souls, eventually, when towards the beginning of Good Game Gamer Group for the record, right around then,
Mhm.
I started playing Dark Souls. I was in, but at this point, it was years that it's been out.
Yeah.
And here I am playing Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 3 came out in fucking 2015. You know what I mean? So
Oh, wow, that's right.
I really want to be like right at the beginning of something, and my only hope is that From Software delivers something that works well out the gate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the reality is that hasn't been the case most of the time.
It could be a toss up. It could be a toss up.
Most of the time.
How do you feel about Darks? I mean, I surprised me to hear you talk that way. Don't mention like any interest on going into Demon Souls, that new one. I've heard nothing but
I do
greatness about it.
want to go into Demon Souls, but it's one of those things I can't play these games back to back. And
Right,
I can
yeah, no.
already tell that once I'm done with this, I want to go back and try a different build. Believe it or not.
This one. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because
wow.
I'm playing a Dex build, dexterity build for anyone who doesn't know what that means. Which I like because my character remains lighter. I don't wear heavy armor. So I get to roll and move faster. I have a Uchigatana, which is basically a katana sword. And I've upped it up.
Katana sword.
Yeah, I've upped it up with a special sharpening thing where it's like extremely sharp and really does damage.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is because it's a dexterity build. You are really sure I have a shield and stuff like that, but my main thing is to move. Dodging is the way to go. You know what I mean? And so because that's the deal. If I can try to do that, but I get overpowered quickly. So I want to try another build where I'm going to go with a strength build where at this point maybe I can work on my poise and not get knocked over easily and be that heavy weapon dude or girl, depending on what I choose. And so I'm really considering that shortly, and I'll probably do that also co-op because at that point I've already beaten the game, and going through it would be a lot easier at that point. But that's my So because of that, I wanted to get into Demon Souls, the new one, obviously, and but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where that takes me.
That could still wait.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere, and it's I mean, it's still a PlayStation 5 game, and it's still fucking $70. So I can wait a little bit on that. So, anyway, I did watch a few things, so I just kind of wanted to get through. I know running a little long on this segment, but I did see.
We never do that.
I know, that's so not us. I did watch A Quiet Place Part 2.
Oh, you did.
I did. I
All
saw
right.
it on so my wife has Paramount Plus, one of the services, because we have everything at this point.
So it's so weird. It's like you guys have everything, but no, you pay for that shit. No, I'll pay for Hulu. You pay for Paramount.
She got it because it had there was a TV show that she was I want to say it's Blue Bloods or something like that, and she it was weird. It was one of the things she was watching it, and I think on Hulu, and Hulu only had up to a certain season, and the most recent seasons weren't there. So she could either wait for it to come out or pay like because it's not even it's like $6. It's not expensive, and she could pay that, and then she could just get it on there. Well, here we are months later. We still have, you know what I mean? So, but believe it or not, A Quiet Place came out to it. So even though it was in the theaters, I think earlier this year, it's already there for us to watch. So I was like, I
did saw that on a little of ads. Question though, and this is something that was bothering me last night for some reason. I don't know why. But having watched it recently, can you get me out of a doubt? This is probably gonna sound like complete nonsense, but remember, I don't know actors. I don't care. You know, if you guys want to like, you know, whatever,
want to be like that about it,
okay. It's like sport player. Who cares? No. The girl. So obviously the girl from A Quiet Place.
The girl being the
little girl.
Oh, the little girl. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, she's not little here, but you know what I mean. The daughter. Is that the same person? Is that played by the same actress that played the little girl on Hereditary? I don't even want to see IDVM to double check because I just don't want to watch. So. I don't want to see any scenery of that movie. I just wanted to ask you.
I don't think so. I'm trying to remember that other girl, and she no. I would say okay. No. I'd be a confident no on that one.
Yeah. We could be wrong, but we're
both I'm remembering that girl
shit to go and check an IDVM.
I remembering that girl. Well, I mean, I could just look it up because I think I have it here real quick. Because I always have it up to remember what I had watched.
Yeah.
Let's see. Just look at her filmography. It'll just show there. No.
For some reason, no, right? No. Okay.
Her first thing was in 2015. She did A Quiet Place in 2018. Quiet Place 2.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So no, not her.
Gotcha. Okay. Good. I just needed to get that out. For some reason, it was last night as I was going to bed, and that got me thinking. And it's like, is that the same? Is that the same girl? Because yeah, Hereditary is fucking awful, man. And I don't mean awful in that it's a bad movie. It was a great movie.
It did its job, that's for sure.
It did its job, yeah. I don't want to watch it again.
I never, ever. I don't even want to think about it. Moving on. Anyway, Quiet Place 2.
Quiet Place.
Quiet Place 2.
Talk to me about Quiet Place, please.
I liked it. It was fun. It was, I mean, I can easily say, not as good as the first one. You know what I mean? That's easy to say. I think my main issue with it was there was a lot of, I don't want to say slow moments because I don't mean slow moments. It was a lot of, okay, quietness? I need you to run and grab that and do this now. But instead, they're going to move slow because they're wanting to build tension. You know what I mean?
And it's a lot of fetch quests.
Well, there's that too. But and that's the other thing. You have multiple things happen all at the same time, and again, all being shown in a certain way where it took like I understand building tension, so you want to build tension, but at some point that you're just frustrating the audience because you're like, dude, grab it and throw it at the thing. You know what I mean? It's like why are you moving so fucking slow?
Yeah.
The son, the older son, not the baby, obviously. The older son. I saw. I was like, you guys are gonna have to cut your losses here with this kid. He is definitely he's a liability. We need to let his ass go. You know what I mean? you can find another one, or who knows,
No.
you know. But so that was my main issue with it. It was like you're building way too, and I know what they were trying to do. They were trying to recreate one of the most awesome tense moments, which was in the first one when she spoilers here for the first one, when she is trying not to give birth because she's being hunted down by something, and she knows the moment she screams, but the scream happens at the same time the fireworks go off, and it just and this now it's just like, dude, I remember seeing that shit in the theater, and there is probably like claw marks on the armrest from my hand because I was that fucking tense.
Yeah.
Here, again, tension was building, but it felt artificial. It felt like it was.
Oh my God, dude, you are literally like, you're reading my mind and putting it out in words. That's what you're doing right now. How do you do that, you wizard? That's exactly what I was gonna say. It just feels like these moments they're trying to go for that, but it feels like artificial sweetening at that point.
Like,
or in this case, artificial
sweetening,
nervousness, I guess. Or
tension, artificial tension. That's what it is.
Artificial tension.
And I get. So it's one of those things where, like, I get, like, in the first one, it made sense. The moment you saw, we leaped in the future a little bit. Spoilers again for the first one. The little boy dies. You see her pregnant. And that is the whole Chekhov's gun thing. You know what I mean? And you just know, okay, she's pregnant. Something's going to happen because she's pregnant. And we all know everybody has to be quiet. And we all know babies are not quiet. And we all know giving birth is not quiet. So it's like, that's all rolling in your head just from the moment you see her pregnant. You know what I mean? So now that's the time bomb, right? That's
literally,
that's
exactly.
the bomb. That you're like, oh shit, we're on a time limit. Shit's gonna go down. You know what I mean? And
that's literally there's a stuck nail pointing up in the stairs, and the camera focused on it. So I wonder what will happen.
Correct. So here, I didn't see where anything was coming from because, or rather, I should say, there was no of those little hints of anything because everything felt like, okay, she has to be the one to go find this. Why? She's deaf. She's the worst person to go out to do this because she can't hear any. And in like within minutes of this happening, it points out exactly why this is a dumb idea because it's like she doesn't see the creature right behind her because she can't hear. It's like, hello, this doesn't. I get again. I feel that's why I feel it's like an artificial tension because of like these are not. I get what you're trying to do. You want it to move in. These
are not logical choices.
Correct. After
made.
A film, after the first one, where everything was based on logic, every decision they made, the way that entire farm was set up was based on logic. And here we're throwing logic out of it. So basically, when John Krasinski died in the first one, say "Jodió logic" in the rest of the video because I was like, he was Mr. Logic, and he's not here anymore. That had that shit figured out. Yeah. So we're going to be completely illogical. You know what I mean? And so that all said, I'm probably making it sound like it's not. It's still a good movie. You know,
it's still fun. Like I think I rated it. Well, what did I give it? I don't even remember. But I don't remember. I was okay with it.
Yeah, I gave it a solid 3 for sure. Yeah. It was good. It was a good film. So, even better because I saw it here at home. That always works. And so, hold on a second here. The next thing I saw was actually a film called Fear Street, which is
I saw you post about that.
Yeah, which is actually a 3-part film or series that Netflix is doing. And I think they just released the 3rd part, and they released it like a couple weeks apart. You know what I mean? It's just like they did one.
3 parts.
Yeah. So Fear Street Part 1 takes place in 1994, if I remember correctly. Let me go back over here real quick. And it's kind of your typical, or it starts off as your typical slasher film, and then little by little you start realizing, oh, there's a little craziness going on here in this town. There's a town called Shadyville, that has cases.
Shadyville.
Shadyville, yeah. Oh, by the way, very on the nose for a lot of stuff.
I'll
Shadyville.
say.
Yeah.
There's a town called Murder.
Yeah. It's called Shadyville, and it is the murder capital of the world, or of the United States, whatever the case may be, right? Whatever. And then there's
why.
Summervale, which is a town right next door, which has no crime, it has all this stuff, and there's there's clearly something going on here that stems current times and stuff like that. This place says 1994, yeah, and so they're being hunted down by something. These kids is very typical of a lot of 90s films with horror, where it was like the parents aren't around for whatever reason, it's like they're on the streets, they're doing stuff, and it's just like, where the fuck are the parents? And then you have the cops, and the cops are not very bright, or they don't believe them because they never do. What I mean? And these are Shadyville kids. Clearly, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're a bunch of freaking títeres anyway. So the movie is actually pretty good. I actually enjoyed it. It is a horror film. It does have some gore. It's not overly grotesque or anything like that. In some cases, like, it's not to the point where you're like disgusted, but sometimes something happens and it just catches you. Like, you just it's one of those things, like, you see the characters, you see what's going on, you're like, this movie would never do that, and then it does. You're like, oh wow, they went there, didn't they? Yeah. So anyway, I like it. I like it for what it is. This particular tale story ended. The next one is 1976, so we're going back in time. And so it sort of goes into the history of there's some sort of witch or something haunting this particular area, and apparently that's been happening for a while, and that's kind of what this is leading to. And so the overall story is actually pretty fascinating. Characters are kind of funny, which is really good because the young characters too. But yeah, overall, I definitely, so far with the first one, I enjoyed it. The last one, the most recent one, is actually called Fear Street 1666. So it goes even further.
Oh, geez.
So, and that's the last one. That's the last
interesting.
one. Yeah. So obviously, also tells you clearly where and you can see this in the trailer, and I invite you to see the trailer, but it was because it's a cool thing that kind of gives you all the gist of what you need to see, and clearly whatever happened that long ago, and that's just kind of led to why these two towns are just shit. You know what I mean? Or rather, not shit, but one is shit and the other one is fine.
Are they doing it kind of like in a way that It did it? The movie It? Where you
I haven't
just
seen the
said
second
about
part of it, so I couldn't.
What?
Yeah, I still haven't seen it. Yeah.
What the? What the?
I am
Why?
trying to, because my wife saw the first one, and I'm trying to get her to see the second one, bro. And you got to lay the groundwork on this sometimes. You know,
This is what I mean. This is working like you need, dude.
Anyway.
Okay. Anyway, I mean, I realize I'm the least person to talk, and I understand. I have gaping holes movie wise. I get that, but that's expected of me. Of you saying that you haven't watched It too, and it's like you saying you haven't watched Rocky, any other Rockies or something like that.
Believe me, I want to, sir. Jessica Chastain alone. I want to
get it done, sir. You have your pick. It's a good, and you need to see how it ends, for crying out loud. Okay. Fair anyway, enough. Sorry. Yeah, I took your. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
That caught me off guard. That was my horror moment right there.
This is, I guess, kind of similar on those lines. This particular one feels a little, Stranger Things like, but definitely more gore, and obviously more of everything. This is definitely rated R, or whatever they rate it on, I guess, TVMA.
Wait, are you talking about a different one now?
Fear Street. No, Fear Street. I'm talking about Fear Street.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. It has that a little bit of that Stranger Things vibe, where the kids and all that stuff. And the thing is, you don't see parents here. I think you see one parent. but I only see him because of specific reason.
What are
Everybody
the
else is like,
kids? Are
where
the
the fuck is
kids
there?
like the kids from
No, these guys are they're
Stranger
teenage.
Things?
They're in high school. So they
Okay, gotcha.
are in probably later high school. If I had to guess an age, I'd say 16, 17 years old. They're not
Gotcha.
they're not that young like the other ones. And they're doing it, you know. So that's another,
Yeah.
you know, as young kids do, you know. Anyway, I like it. Needless to say, I like it. It's a lot of fun. It's one of those movies you can just throw on and enjoy and just laugh at it sometimes and cover your eyes other
Laugh
times,
at it.
and then just just
You
kinda
have
move
a
on.
dark sense of humor.
I mean, there's some funny shit that happens, bro. I mean, what I'm saying, but
No,
anyway,
I'm just saying in general, you do have a dark sense of humor because shit like that will make you laugh. But I'll say some things and you'll be like,
you get
I
nothing
know he's
from me.
gonna laugh right now, and there's nothing. I'm like frustrated.
The last thing I saw, or I guess I finished, was season 2 of Love, Death, and Robots, and
Okay.
not as good as the first one.
Ah.
Specifically because here's the main thing. Halfway through, it kind of follows a lot of the other one, right? It was always sci-fi, it was always robots, love and death and everything.
No sex.
The last, no, not as much as the first one, believe it or not.
There
The
you
last
go.
one, the last like 4 or 5 episodes, I was like, there's not even robots in this. Just like, what is it like? Like the first one had
It's only love and sex here.
the
No
no. I'm
robots.
trying to say, well, no, it's something that you didn't have with it. One was like only 5 minutes long, and I was just like, what was the point of that? I got nothing from that, and so. Yeah, not as good as so. It needs to say I didn't obviously not much to say on this other than it's not as good as the first season. They're all shorts anyway, so it's not like a huge investment. Animation wise, still some of the best animation I've seen easily. CG animation. One of them had Michael B. Jordan, and everything around him or everything is CG except for his head. It's like except for his head. You're using his face. You know what I mean? It's not like they're doing the Princess Leia thing.
No.
It's literally his head. Because I was looking at it, I was like, that face and that sweat is way too fucking good. So there's no way. And I recognized him too. I was like, that's Michael B. Jordan. That has to be him. And I was right. It was him. And the only problem with that one, of course, is the lining, right? You got to make sure the head is aligned with the body because otherwise it just looks weird. And sometimes it stands out a little bit. But other than that, I mean, it was okay.
It was okay.
Yeah, it was all right.
All right.
But anyway, so that's all I've been doing.
I am the Black Knight.
We're back, and it is time for the useless news that you can use. And we're going to start with, I think we're going to start with the most major piece that happened this week, sir.
Oh yes. Okay, so let's
yeah.
see. This week, Nintendo Switch OLED.
That was last week.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah.
I'm behind. Hold on.
However,
let me catch up with news. Oh, Valve has something that they announced.
I was just going to say, hot off the heels of the OLED announcement. After rumors in May, Valve has now officially announced the Steam Deck, a handheld gaming PC arriving later this year. IGN, of course, was able to provide some hands-on information with it. They had their own monthly IGN First. The Steam Deck has a form factor similar to that of a slightly larger Nintendo Switch, but with the capabilities of a full gaming PC. It runs a modified version of Valve's Steam OS, complete with a new console-like interface for easy navigation of both the Steam Store and your Steam library. But it also provides access to unrestricted computer desktop where any third-party applications can be installed, including non-Steam games and launchers. In terms of hardware, the Steam Deck is a 7-inch 1280 by 800 resolution. Has a screen, 60 hertz LCD screen, a custom AMD APU featuring a 4-core, 8-thread CPU paired with 8 RDNA 2 compute units for the GPU and 16 GBs or gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM.
Nice, bravo, sir!
Thank
You were able to say that out,
Man.
say that all, but all
know.
by yourself. I'm very
Thank
proud
you.
of you.
I'm proud of me too. I'm a little bit worn out, but practically speaking, that makes it a substantial amount stronger than the Switch, allowing it to run modern games impressively well. As a point of reference, I was able to play, I being the person here that wrote this, which would be Ton Marks from IGN. It was able to play Fallen Order on an in-development Steam Deck at high graphical settings with little to no issue. It can even suspend running games like the console, and Valve says the intent is really to give players access to their entire Steam library on the go. To better enable this, the controller setup on either side of the screen has all the buttons, triggers, and full-size joysticks you expect to come from a modern gamepad. The sticks are actually capacitive, meaning that they can detect when your thumb is resting on them. And below each one is a small trackpad that you can use for mouse inputs. There are also 4 back buttons on the rear of the Steam Deck that can be mapped however you see fit. And the display is a multi-input touch screen. Additionally, the Steam Deck has Bluetooth support for any device you could connect to a regular PC. This includes AirPods. It can also be docked and hooked up to an external display, as well as mouse and keyboard if you want to use it for a more traditional PC. While Valve will be selling an official dock separately, any third-party USB-C adapter will work just as well.
And they mean it. Even our docks from work will work with this thing.
That's some shit.
Yeah.
So what does it cost? Well, the base version will cost $399 and will have 64 gigabytes. That's the 64 gigabyte storage, followed by the $529 model that has 256 gigabytes of storage, and finally the $649 version, which will have 512 gigabytes and an anti-glare etch glass screen treatment. The latter 2 Steam Decks will also have faster NVMe SSDs, and all 3 will allow you to install and play games off a micro SD card to expand storage even further. Sir, what do you set to release holiday 2021.
Holiday 2021, early 2022. It's also what I've been hearing. You know what? You might think that Nintendo had a small Wii, but apparently Steam has a big deck. That's what's happening here.
Nice.
Thank you.
How long have you been waiting to say
that? I didn't hear anything of what you said. I was just waiting for it to be over so I can just whip it out just like that.
Nice. Well done, sir. Well done.
What can I know? So this was actually quite a surprise.
It's a shocker to me, bro.
It just came out of nowhere. We kind of knew that Valve was working on hardware, and that hardware was going to be a handheld device. We did not expect in any way an announcement. And an announcement with release window, even less. So this tells me right off the bat that not the bath that they were probably waiting to see what the other handheld out there. The other handheld out there is that Nintendo Switch, right? The Switch, and they have been there have been bickerings and rumors about the Switch Pro and whatnot. And I'm not necessarily saying that they were waiting for them to announce it,
They
but
were waiting for
it
them
kind
to
of gives me an
announce
impression that they were
yes.
at least trying to get more info on it.
Yes.
Because
Let's call it what it is. They were waiting for that. I mean, literally last week we hear about the OLED and everybody's groan of, oh, is that really what they were doing?
Yeah.
And then this week they're like, yeah, honestly, they heard that shit and said, guys, we're doing it next week. Let's pick a date, make sure we have everything right. We have a blah, blah, blah.
But Gabe, we don't have a date
systems
yet
go,
for
guys.
release.
All systems go.
And by the way, holiday 2021. And by the way, we're going to
top of that, yeah. Not only that, we're going to beat them to the OLED.
Get on the ball on that. What do you have? A prototype. Well, just bring it to IGN. What?
Let them look at it. Let them look at it.
Let them look at it.
Put their hands on it. Make sure it runs well, and we're good.
What is the biggest publication we can get? This we need to get this out like now on short notice. They thought IGN and they went with it, and yeah, I first off, I'm happy to hear. I'm happy to hear this. I'm not. I was worried. I'm worried in general about Valve's commitment to deliver, because I've seen already that before they have tried to get things out, hardware out, like they started with the
Steam box,
with the Steam Vive, then the Steam boxes, or they might have actually started with the Steam boxes, but the Steam boxes was something that they had planned, they laid out the groundwork, and then they just abandoned. Like they left after all their partners already had something. They kind of like just left it in the whatever. They kind of left partners in the cold. Like, okay, now they have, these companies have computers that were, so-called Steam boxes, but without Steam OS or without the proper support, or a little bit too early in the development of Steam OS to where, because Steam OS is actually Linux. It's a version of Linux that they kind of modify to make it a little bit, to make it a little bit more gaming and to have that gaming interface and all that. But it was, and it was a nice idea, but it was kind of early. I think it was more done. That the idea at that point was Gabe Newell, which when he decides to have a grudge against something, he just throws whatever all his resources at it until he's no longer mad, like he did with the PlayStation. Do you remember the PlayStation 3?
I do.
First, he had a problem with PlayStation 3, a big time problem with PlayStation 3, and then Steam ended up being released on PlayStation 3 for like one game only, Portal 2. So he did the Steam box with the idea of, well, fuck Windows and Microsoft, and we don't want to be attached to this operating system anymore. Let's try to see how many games we can port to the Linux system, because it's more, it's open source and all the benefits of Linux, yada yada yada. So, but then they refrained from that. They
backed up. They backed out of it.
Yeah. And also the Steam controller was another thing that they announced, and it looked cool. Yeah. It was supposed to be like, this is the gamepad for PCs, and it was too out there and not a lot of adoption. And they kind of like at some point. And also remember the stream the Stream Deck decks. The Stream Decks was just little boxes that you buy that they started selling at $50. They ended up literally selling them for $1 at one point, liquidating them, which was meant to be like, oh, you have your powerful computer, but then you can put this box in your TV and stream the games from your computer to your TV and play using your Steam controller or an Xbox controller. Or so they always have these ideas, and they don't seem fully realized. I think the most realized one that they have had so far is the new VR set that they have, the Index, the Valve Index. That one's the one that I could say, well, that's the strongest thing that they have right now. So going in after hearing that, oh well, they're considering making a handheld. I'm like, okay, here we go again. This is probably not going to lead to nowhere. But then you see, they don't start with just specs or anything like that. On the release day, sorry, on the announcement of it, they already had a working prototype. Like they already have their hardware, which, granted, it could get modified a little bit from here to there, but I don't think it might get modified that much from what it is. Like you could already tell what it is.
Yeah.
And
It's almost the the finished product.
Yeah.
It seems to be the most realized thing they've had in some time. I agree.
Yeah. It seems. I mean, first of all, big fuck you to Nintendo apparently, because they just released it right after, a week after their announcement of the Nintendo Switch OLED, which ended up being like, oh, by the way, this is just a regular Switch, but now it has an OLED screen. This one seems to have a more compelling, reason. Like I was actually thinking of
at that prices, to have what is essentially the equivalent of a medium gaming PC at those prices. And even Gabe Newell has gone on an interview saying, it was painful to get to those prices, but
yes.
They were critical in order for these things to move.
But
they clearly are taking a loss. So I feel like this does look like it's a smarter Valve decision as far as when it comes to hardware. But just like you have mentioned, this isn't the first thing. There was a time again with the Steam boxes, and it's one of those things. Like, okay, at this point, I'm like, well, that's why I'm going to wait and see,
right?
Because I don't know what their commitment is on it, and they're already taking a loss now. Valve has money. It's not like they don't. Not like they don't. They have plenty of fucking money, so they can handle a loss. But the bottom line is still the bottom line. At some point, they were like, it's too much of a loss, and it's not adopting as much as we want it to. And when that happens, if that happens, where are they going to be? What are they going to do? Are they going to just rest on their laurels with, hey, we still have Steam, we still have whatever, or are they going to, double down and say, okay, well, let's do what we can to get this out to everyone?
Well, remember one thing, that first of all, this just tends to become cheaper and cheaper as time goes on. I mean, it can, just as technology in general. But the main thing is that this already has the support of this. This is coming with games. Like this is not.
Coming with your entire library.
Yeah, well, no, not the entire, and that's like that's one thing that I want to clarify. This will not let you play the entire collection of games that you have on Steam. Why? Because most of those games are actually designed to run on Windows and not on Linux. And what Valve is doing here is that, yes, although some games are actually ported to Linux and they run well and they use the technologies that Linux offers, there's some of them that need to have some sort of, I'm going to simplify it, and I'm going to call it emulation, even though it's actually a little bit more complex than that. But just for the sake of understanding, I'm going to call it like a little bit of emulation going on, to where it's like a layer that needs to interpret what is meant to run on Windows to then actually run on Linux, and that has a performance hit. And that's why I say, even with that, you still not guarantee your entire library. Now, you have a large library, and I will argue a lot of the games that you're probably going to want to play on that thing are just going to run just fine, because the system is small, is powerful enough. It's not outputting 4K. If you notice the resolutions of the screen itself are 720. 720p. Now, granted, you can hook up a monitor and make it
Whatever you want.
use like a computer. But at that point, it's up to you. So
At a small screen, 720 is still not bad.
no,
it's a
yeah,
small
exactly.
screen.
I mean, the fucking Switch. Look at the look at what the Switch has been able to do with it. Now the only thing is that the difference with Switch is that because of the hardware on the Switch, even at 720, you still have situations where you can make nice graphics, but the performance not there. Here you have the you pretty much have that performance, and if not, you'll be able to tweak it because it's a PC. So now, granted,
I feel
there's
like
gonna be some people that might not like that. Actually,
yeah, I was gonna say in there lies the issue, right? Because so
just one hardware though. If it's one hardware, it shouldn't be as bad. But
well,
yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say. That's why I'm like, yeah, I know that they were waiting. I'm positive that they were waiting for the OLED announcement before they said anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they just, okay, so this is not going to be something we have to worry about. Well, the reality is, even when you just step back and look at it, you go, yeah, you really don't have to worry about Nintendo, but Nintendo also doesn't have to worry about you. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
you still are operating on two different planes.
Right.
Nintendo still have Nintendo games because
exactly.
you're not going to be able to get those legally anyway.
Right.
And on top of that, everything that plays on Nintendo plays on the Switch, plays on the Switch. You don't have to worry about compatibility. You don't have to worry about some sort of Linux, being able to run Windows, being able to run this, taking a power hit. Saying those are things that, those who are familiar with the PC and how that runs can understand and go, okay, I get it. We have to work with this. Okay, whatever. So that's already a different market. So they're not really competing in the same market to begin with. So why they waited? I don't know. Maybe they were just waiting and seeing. So, well, let's make sure they're not a threat, before we say anything. But I really think neither of them are going to be eating each other's lunches. That said, because of everything you just mentioned about the Steam Deck, that further puts me into the definitely waiting to see. Because again, when it comes to me, I'm just speaking by myself, but I'm sure I'm one of many. When it comes to me, it's like if this is a product that's meant to play something that your storefront offers, then it should just play.
Right.
And if it doesn't, yes, I am smart enough to get like, okay, I understand it's not compatible, blah, 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 blah. The average consumer, not going to be. And that's where, again, this will still now fit a different group. And I don't know what the success rate of that's going to be. And secondly, I don't know what that will lead Valve to do when they realize, oh, we're not really getting that same market that Nintendo owns.
Right. Now, I want to clarify the games that you'll get that you'll be able to see on your library. All those games should run because they are the ones certified to
work on it.
To work on it. Exactly. What I mean is, like, say for example, I have a Steam library. I know of a couple of games here that, because I know the technologies that it uses, it'll probably, or the game is kind of old already, the developers might not go back and care about porting it. I might have to use it in some sort of compatibility mode, and that could bring out its own performance issues. And again, that the system is powerful for what it is, but it's not a beast. This is akin to a Xbox Series S with the CPU cut in half. So that's not to say, when I say cut in half, I don't mean half of the performance. I mean literally, instead of having 8 cores, 16 threads, instead of having 4 cores, 8 threads, it had 2 cores, 4 threads, or something like that.
I think it's the other way, because this one has 4 cores, 8 threads.
Okay, so this one,
so instead of having 8, 16, it has
4, 8. Exactly. Yeah. Which is, it is enough to run most games out there. You should be able, like, this thing was shown running Jedi Fallen Order. Let me tell you, Jedi Fallen Order is a hefty game. If this is running it like that and it's running it smoothly at 60 frames per second and all that, I will imagine that maybe some features are turned down a little bit. But it's impressive in itself. Now, granted, it's running at a much lower resolution, so of course it's not pushing that many pixels. So, they did a good enough job of balancing it of what they have, and the idea of a person like you, for example, like let's be real, the most you own is you own a gaming laptop, and that is because I bought it, because I chose it for you. Obviously, you pay for it, but I chose it for you because
I asked,
you're the
for the
farthest thing
record.
on
I
the
feel like I
PC.
reached out and said, "Dude, I want to do this. I need your help." So, I feel like it came from me. I'm just saying.
But I don't think you were necessarily waiting for a PC. I just took the opportunity to say, well, let me see if I can show him what a laptop could be capable actually of running. Like, which back in the day when that came out, it was kind of impressive. Now maybe you won't be able to run Battlefield 1942 or 2042, whatever this is that they're calling it. But I was envisioning something like this for like you. You don't want the hassle of doing a whole like PC shtick, but this is a fairly equalized hardware with software that gets that gets selected to run in it and certified to run fine, and with the opportunity of taking advantage of a lot of the ridiculous Steam sales that happen. Of course, now that happens also on consoles, so I guess that's a moot point anymore. But at least it would have introduced you to some games that I know for a fact they are not on. They're not on consoles, and like it would have opened that opportunity.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not completely shutting it out. I'm just saying because of these factors,
right?
I'm more risk averse at just saying, okay, I'm in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
When I first saw it, like I saw the entire fucking IGN thing, and I was just like, damn, that's kind of cool, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would not play a handheld. I don't play fucking Switch handheld mode, so it wouldn't even matter anyway. It would literally be playing a computer, probably on my TV. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it was like, oh man, this would actually be kind of cool. But at the same time, I'm going, okay, what are we gonna do? What plays here? What doesn't play here? All the little other factors that are involved, and
let's face it, if it's games that you can already play on consoles because they're available on consoles, then
and I know that it will run, because if there's one thing we can say about the console manufacturers, if it doesn't run, unless it's fucking Cyberpunk, if it doesn't run, they generally are not going to allow it onto their platform.
Exactly.
On PC, it's a little bit more like, well, if it runs well enough, have at it. You know what I mean? It's like, well, that's not the same. And so, and again, I know this, the common consumer, which is when you look at the handheld, when you look at the fact that it's, you just look at the design.
Yeah.
It's clear what they're going for, because that's the thing. It's like, this looks like a Switch. It looks like just a bigger, beefier Switch.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, Switch just announced they have a new one. So the commoner may not even know, you know what I mean? And may actually accidentally pick this one up by accident. You know what I mean? I guarantee you, I'm almost willing to bet we're going to hear a story about that. Mark this down. Episode 271, Mad Dog predicts. We're going to hear a story of someone who thought they were picking up the newest Switch and instead got the Steam Deck. Doesn't mean they give it back. No, I'm just simply stating someone accidentally picked up the wrong one.
Let's say someone small, please, because
Oh,
for
probably.
someone to
Yeah,
make that level of like you
someone's
are
mom,
literally
someone's
blind,
parent, someone's
you are buying it
wife.
blindly. You're not. You
Yeah,
know.
someone's wife who doesn't really know gaming.
I
And
don't
just said,
think
hey,
anybody's
this is
gonna
what
mistake this necessarily for the Switch, because first of all, it doesn't say fucking Switch or Nintendo anywhere, you know. But
like I said, I don't think so. Here's the thing. I bet you right now, you can go out to people and show these picture, like just a regular commenter, show this picture, and they're gonna call it the Switch. I guarantee you. Like, if I was to stand in front of Target and every person who walked in and out asked, "What do you think this is?" You're gonna hear Switch before you hear anything else. Guaranteed.
Okay.
You know, it's the truth. Because we gamers know that this game deck a Steam Deck exists.
I mean,
I don't think anybody else does.
I would
You know
call
what I'm
it Sega Nomad, but that's just me, you know.
Well, that obviously would make you a more experienced person. I'm just saying, you know?
I'm just saying, I like to do my research when I want to grab my Game Gear. I'm just saying, it's like.
Speaking of which, this one. Speaking of Game Gear, this one has the battery life of Game Gear, apparently.
Yes.
So another thing to keep in mind, you know,
the battery life and I like the capacitive buttons that I have, because it's almost like, well, PC being a PC, there are some games that are gonna, and I'm not talking about first person shooters, I'm talking about games that are like made for that interface. And it's gonna, you know, it's good to have at least that option if you choose to play those type of games, you know, which you don't have to. I feel like at that point you just fucking buy the dock and just plug it on your TV and just play that way, or a monitor or something like that. But yeah, I mean, the other thing that I found attractive was that the barrier of entry was like really low,
very low. Yeah, even the most expensive one is still okay, you know, for what you're getting.
Yeah. Well, if you wanted, I was gonna say, if you wanted to reserve it, they don't call it pre-orders, but if to reserve your spot or whatever, you just give them $5. I was like, at that point, it's like, oh yeah, I'll put my $5 there. And
that's another thing, bro. Just like,
what?
There's no. So I look at that again, and I look at that, and I go, I don't feel their confidence in it when I only have to give you $5. And then at some point I go, you know, I'm not.
No, because you're misunderstanding. That the reasoning for that was to mitigate scalping, because scalping and botting will buy the drones and stuff like that. Dude, I started trying to get this pre-order at 1:00 when it opened, and I was able to actually get a confirmation. I'll tell you what time, because I already erased the receipt, but it shows on my Steam library anyway. So at 5:21 p.m. was when my order finally went through, and it was and it was people putting, and of course, if it's just $5, then everybody can go in, right? And if you don't get it, then fuck it. Then you have a $5 credit, or you request a refund. It's Steam. Steam allows refunds, so like, who cares? You know? No, for sure, and
you know, but like I said, I have my reservations, but I still am kind of excited about it. One, it also does kind of put someone else in the handheld market, someone else who can afford whatever losses come from the handheld market and are not afraid normally to take those things. And you know what? I think someone needs to give Nintendo a little bit of run for their money when it comes to handhelds, because they've essentially owned that market for forever now. And it's cool to see someone else entering the fray. But we'll see. We'll see what comes from that.
Yeah. We'll see what comes from Square Enix if they decide to do something with this. And this is actually I don't have a lot of important news other than the Steam Deck. But Square Enix is not ruling out a Final Fantasy X-3 because that's what we fucking want. Final Fantasy X-2 was originally released way back in 2003. But that doesn't mean a sequel for the iconic PlayStation 2 game is impossible. Speaking with Weekly Famitsu, producer Yoshinori Kitase, director Motomu Toriyama, writer Kazushige Nojima, and character designer Tetsuya Nomura were interviewed for Final Fantasy X's 20th anniversary. The publication inquired about the story continuation, mentioning that Final Fantasy X-2 follows up Final Fantasy X 2.5 in No Daisho, the Price of Eternity, a novel published in 2013 that picks up right after Final Fantasy X-2. I think that sentence was kind of weird, or I said it weird, but what I meant to say is that Final Fantasy X-2 was followed up by 2.5, that novel. There's a quote from Nojima says, in the past, there was a time where there were indications that perhaps we might make a Final Fantasy X-3, explained Nojima. There was a little of that kind of momentum, agreed Kitase. Both Final Fantasy X 2.5 and Final Fantasy X will, like that's the name of it. Final Fantasy X will. I don't know why will. Were written by Nojima, who penned Final Fantasy X and X-2, underscoring the idea that Square Enix wanted the world of Final Fantasy X to continue. According to Nojima, there was already a novelization, a plot connecting to a Final Fantasy X-3 was written. That didn't become a novel due to circumstances. Instead, it was released to the public as the Will audio drama. So there was actually like an audiobook also. That's what's called Will. Okay. Weekly Famitsu asks what the likelihood of Final Fantasy X-3 was being made was. And from the sound of it, Square Enix isn't ruling that out completely. The quote says, if there's going to be a Final Fantasy X-3, then for the time being, we do not have the synopsis Nojima wrote. Said Nomura, adding that both 2.5 and Will are based on that. It is currently on ice, but the concept itself does exist. So basically, a bunch of people just getting excited because the possibility is not zero.
Why? Why are you getting excited about this? They have Final Fantasy 16. They have the rest of Final Fantasy 7 remake.
Oh, they're saying that. They're saying we're not done with Final Fantasy 7
I know
remake.
they're not, but it's like
because Final Fantasy 7 remake, apparently it's like they're realizing that, oh yeah, rather than coming up with new ideas, we could just revisit and regurgitate this bullshit that we had done before. Not that Final Fantasy 7 remake was bullshit.
Final Fantasy 7 remake is the first thing in a while that they have done since 12.
Yes.
That is of any substance.
I will agree.
And for them to go and before that,
because we're not
real. Before that, before 12, you had 11, which is an MMO. You had 10, which not everybody, a lot of people pan for being a really big, it just felt like they left what it was. I never played 9, but I know 9 is good. I respect that 9 is good, and I feel like 9 was the last really, really good one. 12 did something different, still out there. I liked it, but I get it. And really, since 9, you really haven't had any a special one. You know what I mean? Until
I mean,
here.
10 was beautiful. Like 10 was beautiful. What fucked up 10 was the localization. Localization was done very poorly, but as I understand it, it was not bullshit. In general, and especially in Japan, and like the music of 10 is some of the most beautiful of the series have ever had. It's just that I guess they bungled out
They did.
the not the novelization, but the localization.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was just as that. There were some interesting choices as far
Also,
as
split ball. Whatever the hell was that called?
Blitzball, yeah. And
Blitzball.
so
Fuck that
yeah,
shit.
you had a lot of, and that was a big portion of the fucking game. So it's like,
Let
it's
me
not
do
like a
math
side fucking game.
underwater. That's what I want
Yeah.
to do.
So
Fuck that
it's one of those things like, okay, it made a lot of weird choices. And 10-2, I hear, was good,
10-2
but again,
was
still
kind
within
of
those
stupid.
was it? Or I just heard
I
it
mean,
was good.
no. It was good. Listen, it
heard it
was
was
too
good,
stupid
yeah.
for me to continue. But then again, I like 13 too, so I have no credibility.
Fair enough. But yeah, I heard that some people like. Because I'm gonna leave this. Some people liked it, or a lot of people like 10-2.
Mhm.
But it just feels like that particular universe of Final Fantasy just doesn't have a lot of consistent fans. So it's
No.
like, of everything, why go there? You have 1 through 6. If you want to do more remakes, you have 1 through. You can skip 1 through 3. You have 6, 4, 5, and 6 that are really well. You have 6. You have Final Fantasy 6. Why are you not remaking that?
Well, they're
Imagine
remaking-
Final Fantasy 6 in the style of, or not the style, but the realization of a remake as Final Fantasy 7 remake. Can you imagine that?
Yes and no, because I think what they're doing with remake with 7 remake is kind of special. I don't necessarily want to see the same treatment or the same logic
It
applied.
doesn't
to
have
it,
to be the
but
same one.
I would
Yeah,
like
it could be.
I would like to play an updated version. Sure,
I would like to.
that story is amazing.
Me too.
I mean, they are remaking Final Fantasy. Remember?
First one?
Yeah. Chaos.
Oh
We
God.
need to defeat
Oh,
chaos.
because we need more of that.
By the way, we need to
Anyway,
defeat chaos.
Screw chaos. Chaos is dead.
Not chaos, though.
Not
we love
chaos.
chaos.
No, I love
Oh,
chaos.
screw chaos.
Chaos. Yes.
And that's why we need to kill chaos. And we're going to recruit chaos to help us defeat chaos.
Anyway, my next piece, guys. Netflix has not been shy about its desire to jump into video game space. Recently
this is hot.
announcing that the streaming giant will be expanding to make game content as well as movies and TV on its platform. But a recent data mine suggests that a partnership could also be forming with PlayStation to bring some of its
What?
biggest PlayStation brands to Netflix in some form.
Esto se
Reported-
jodió.
Yeah. Reported by VGC data miner Steve Moser, appears to have uncovered PlayStation brand imagery and content in the Netflix app code. Moser shared this information via a tweet, including images of both Ghost of Tsushima box art and some PlayStation 5 controllers. It's unclear what this means for Netflix, but if there is a burgeoning partnership between Netflix and PlayStation, it could see Ghost of Tsushima content come to streaming service in some form. Moser suggested the gaming section in Netflix currently has the codename of Shark, and the placement of the PlayStation IP within that suggests a collaborative approach. This wouldn't be the first major deal between Sony and Netflix, as the two companies agreed to a deal earlier this year that brings movies from Sony Pictures Entertainment over to Netflix after their theatrical run. Netflix has been aiming to jump.
Sony catching the check.
Yeah. Netflix has been aiming to jump more into the gaming space for a while now, and it's reported earlier this year that the game company is looking to hire an expert in gaming content to lead the gaming division. And it recently appointed ex-EA and Facebook gaming executive Mike Verdu to do just that. The company has previously experimented with interactive stories such as the Black Mirror Bandersnatch. However, the company has yet to release any full video game content and is still unknown exactly what Verdu will be doing for the company. Sony,
was a
on the other
game.
hand, has also been very vocal about wanting to do more with its franchises outside of gaming. We already know Last of Us TV shows coming with Pedro Pascal, starring as Joel, as in development with HBO, and a Ghost of Tsushima movie has been greenlit. Given that many first-party PlayStation games are narrative-driven adventure games with a focus on cinematic stories, it makes sense to try and adopt games like Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us into movies and TV. Sir, I don't know about this. I don't know that this is what everybody thinks it is.
Yes.
You know, yeah, I don't think we're suddenly going to see
Some people
PlayStation
jumping the gun a little
Library.
bit.
Yeah.
It's like it reminds me of that. It reminds me of that announcement when Sony announced that it bought like 7% stake, or I don't remember, 3% or whatever was the stake at Epic Games.
At Epic Games, yeah.
Yeah. And people jumped the gun like, oh my God, Epic Game, Sony bought Epic, Fortnite exclusive.
You do
It's
not.
like, no, listen,
Yeah.
calm down. First of all,
Slow your roll, just a
slow
little
your
bit.
roll.
Yeah.
It's not about that. This is it's an interesting set of events. Actually, I can definitely see Sony and Netflix working very well, and who knows? I mean, this might be the beginning of something that could actually potentially be powerful. But we're not talking Game Pass just yet. You know,
No, that's not what this is.
This
As
is
a matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you what I think this is, and you can, tell me if I'm wrong right here. I think we already know, or we already are pretty sure that one of the next games that will be coming to PC is, in fact, Ghost of Tsushima. And because of that, that leaves the door open for it to, well, pretty much go anywhere except for Xbox. So why not? If Netflix is going to do its own gaming, why not include a title that's already available on PC anyway? Which is why the other options or the other images that they see is about the PlayStation 4 controller, which a PlayStation 5 controller, which it's probably more about, hey, how do I link my Netflix to this PlayStation 5 controller? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like when you look at all these pieces together, you just go, yeah, it's probably just going to be the one, maybe another game that will be available on Netflix's whatever, which obviously they'll have to pay Sony for.
Yeah.
And then you have some finagling way of whatever. But it's obviously going to be streaming. So in the end, it's still streaming. It's not anything really outside of that. And so,
right.
that's honestly, I think that's pretty much it. And that's it. I feel like that's all they're gonna do.
If it's streaming, then it means it will mean more. I mean, assuming that that's actually what it is. It might be more of a way of, well, this is not Game Pass, but it could be an xCloud competitor. Maybe.
Maybe, but
or just a simple, well, this is PSN Now. What's it called? What's the streaming service?
You nailed it. PlayStation Now.
PlayStation Now on Netflix.
Yeah.
Which at that point, like, why would you need that? Yeah, if you have PlayStation Now, you probably have a PlayStation.
Run off. I was gonna say it can just run off the PlayStation. But
yeah.
It's another way of buying in, maybe a Stadia version where you only need to buy the controller, and if you have a Netflix account, then hey. You got this, it comes with it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's
really the most I see there. This is not their Game Pass killer.
Yeah, that doesn't feel like what they're shooting there.
Exactly.
So I could talk about MPD numbers if you guys want to know that evidently Xbox and Nintendo sold more consoles than Sony, but that should be very obvious. You can't find a PlayStation 5 fucking anywhere. So fuck that. And instead, I'm going to talk about Lost Judgment, a game that I'm very looking forward actually coming this October, hopefully. But this is bad news. Lost Judgment could be the last game in the series thanks to a dispute over actors' likeness rights. A dispute between Sega and Lost Judgment actor Takuya Kimura's agency regarding his likeness may halt development of the series, a news report claims. Japanese showbiz news site Nikan Taishu has picked up a story that suggests that Kimura's talent agency, the wonderfully named Johnny and Associates, have been preventing the series coming to PC because they don't want the actor to appear in games on the platform.
Wow.
So wow. See, Mad Dog, this could be your future if you don't stop this PC hate now. You could be making decisions like this. This level of stupidity.
Wow.
Apparently, Johnny and Associate has, quote, has strict control over the likeness right of its talent, and the use of their image online is still limited to a few, end quote. And it wants to keep a tight hold on the likeness. Why console games are okay and PC games are a no-go zone for the company is not clarified, though. Quote, those on the side of the game developer and those on the side of Johnny are said to have been unable to reach an agreement regarding the platforms they sell the game, end quote, from Nikan Taishu's report. So that's why Judgment and Lost Judgment have yet to appear on Steam. The Nikan Taishu reports even said that the agency was dubious about posting its actor's picture online, such as the company's mistrust of the internet. Jesus Christ, man. If you are the actor, at this point, you should actually consider changing agencies because what agency is not going to want to market you on the fucking internet? Anyway, it's another quote from Nikan Taishu. The game makers have decided that if they can't distribute the game on Steam, it will be very difficult from a business standpoint, and the series will just end with the second game, Lost Judgment, end quote. This is bad news for Kimura himself, as the actor apparently really liked the series. Quote, he strongly wanted to continue the series, it seems, but he has said he was quite disappointed when he heard that he might not be able to do that, end quote, says the report. Lost Judgment will release worldwide in September 24. I said October, actually. September 24 for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and S.
Wow.
So, yeah, talk about like the stupidest fucking reasons to have a dispute. Like, what non... This is what makes absolutely no sense. What is the problem with having the likeness of an actor that clearly made a contract to appear on a game and not... What's the problem with showing his face on PC? Like, how does that affect his image in any way whatsoever? Other than the game selling more. And therefore probably himself and the agency getting royalties or whatever the hell is the contract or what they do with it. It's like, it's the stupidest thing. It reminds me of when Nintendo didn't want to make online games because protect the children.
The kids, yeah.
Yeah. It's
ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It's fucking pointless. And it is infuriating because I like the actor. I like the character of the actor very much so. I actually like him a lot more than I fucking like not Kazuya. Whatever his name. Kiryu on the Yakuza series.
Oh,
And
okay.
yes, Yakuza now has a new main guy, but a new protagonist, and he's fine, I guess. But I really like this one. I thought he was doing an outstanding job, and it'll be a shame if the series had to stop, or if they have to suddenly Marvel Spider-Man him into changing the likeness of him.
I mean,
you know,
yeah.
it could be, and now it kind of
I
explains
think
a
you mean
little bit what
Sony
happens.
Spider-Man. Sony Spider-Man.
Sony
did that,
Spider-Man, yeah, Sony Spider-Man's. The game is called it's Marvel Spider-Man, but yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Insomniac's
okay.
Sony Spider-Man, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
interesting stuff, sir.
It's really dumb, man. I want to play. I say I'm waiting with so much anticipation when in reality I already know heart to heart it's the fucking same. It's the same fucking game. I bet that I've been playing actually for the longest time. But that's fine.
Probably.
I'll just play more Judgment tonight.
My last piece here, guys, is a threefer. We'll call this a wrap up because it's just really regarding some interesting delays. Starting with the first one, Ubisoft has once again delayed Rainbow Six Extraction and Riders Republic.
Thank God.
With the former moved to January 2022 and the latter to October 28th. In separate posts, the publisher attributed the Extraction delay to the
This game
need
sucks.
to additional time to bring this vision to life. Yeah, I read that as this game sucks. We need to fix this.
This game sucks.
And while saying Riders Republic needed more time to fine tune the experience and give you another chance to jump in before the launch and provide feedback. The next one is another one. It is Resident Evil Reverse. We've all been waiting for that. The multiplayer shooter. Originally aiming to launch alongside of Resident Evil Village, has been delayed to for a second time. It will now arrive also in 2022, announced on Twitter by Capcom. They explained the delay was made, quote, so the team can continue working to deliver a smooth gaming experience. It's just always the same canned answers for the record.
Yeah, exactly.
Originally
it's never like everything's on fire. I don't think we can deliver this on time.
Yeah.
Like nobody says that anymore.
Although if they should, I would have much respect for somebody who did. Cyberpunk, I'm looking at you. I'm just saying. Anyway, the last one here, Ghostwire Tokyo. Has also been delayed into early 2022 in order to, quote, protect the health of those workers on the game.
Shit. That's
TangleWorks.
That's Microsoft's Sony exclusive.
Yeah, pretty much. And also Twitter, developer Tango Gameworks thank fans for their patience and promise to show more of the supernatural action game in the coming months. Quote, our release window will give us the time to bring the world of Ghostwire to life as we've always envisioned it, end quote. So a couple delays here. They do, they mentioned the protecting of the health. Obviously that means COVID. I get it. Mm-hmm. Everybody, has to do their part. So I understand that. So yeah, just a few delays here for some games. This kind of clears out one more.
Really? Which one were you looking for?
Well, no, I was going to say it clears out one more first party. Well, not first party, but exclusive for PlayStation 5. That's not going to happen this year.
Gotcha. Yes.
So it's interesting to see what they'll do. But yeah, that's all I have, sir.
Cool. In that case, let's wrap this one up then, and because I have nothing else. There's actually no news. Thank God for the news of the Stream Deck, or otherwise, or not the Stream Deck, the Steam Deck. Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll stay tuned. We'll be right back with our hot topic. And we're back, and it is time for the hot topic of the week.
Hot topic! I still cannot believe you haven't watched that movie, bro.
I know, just not what movie you'd speak of.
The
Oh,
movie.
It Part 2.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well,
That
whatever.
movie.
You
Yes.
have not watched Pulp Fiction, which I know Chaos has something going on somewhere with that.
Yes, but that's my choice now.
At this point, I
just-
don't blame you. Like I
I
said,
just want to wear that badge.
the-
You know?
you're proud of it at this point.
At that point, yeah.
It is criminal that you have not watched that movie. And the sad part is,
I know.
at this point, I think I mentioned this already before, but at this point, it's not going to matter. Like it's
No.
it's not going to live anywhere near expectations
Yeah,
that
I
Chaos
don't
and
think-
I have put on it.
I don't think I even like that because it was not very long ago. Actually, I'm talking about probably like 4 or 5 years where I watched
The Inglourious Basterds.
help me.
Russell Dawn.
Dawn to Dawn. Thank you. And like I was like, yeah, man, I love this. I'm completely on board. This movie is crazy shit, but I love it.
Yeah, but that's
Good shit,
different.
though.
That's not a Quentin Tarantino film. It just happens to have Quentin Tarantino in it. That's a Robert Rodriguez film.
That's true. Yeah.
So that's
You did
so,
say that.
yeah.
But
But
it's still an oldie.
it is. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
This is not that though.
This
I
is
feel-
not that.
This
no.
is not that. This is. I want you to watch it just for it, but I have the expectation that you're gonna come out of it like, yeah. This
That
wasn't
just
really
scared
good.
me into thinking that there's no ending in this movie apparently. So
No, there's an ending, but again,
Okay.
it's all
it's your
relative.
interpretation of ending, which is it has credits at the end, so that counts.
well. If you've watched any Quentin Tarantino film, then you know he does that whole chapter thing, and I think
Right.
that's if you look at it that way, then everything is
Mhm.
wrapped up because every chapter has its ending, right?
Yeah.
He also likes
It's
to play with
satisfying.
time, you know what I mean, stuff like that.
Mhm.
They're just, I don't know. And if I was a betting man, I would bet that you would not
Mhm.
like the film. You would actually come out and say,
Not.
"No, this is not a film that I enjoy." And honestly, I would
Really?
almost I will almost say that the words you would say, I don't even know how Quentin Tarantino made it big from this film.
Wow, but Chaos speaks so highly of it, though.
As do I. I love that fucking film. You know what I mean?
But
Yeah,
with
yeah.
you, I have, because you like some movies that are questionable.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right. So I'm the oddball here. Okay,
no,
sure.
I mean that in the most complimentary way that it can sound, which is not much. But I mean that in that you have refined tastes, and some of those tastes, they're just I'm not that. But Chaos, I feel like he could be a little bit more down to,
You know what? Then you know what? Consider that your own experiment, sir. At some point, you don't have to do that.
at some
Obviously, you
point.
don't- yeah.
Okay.
When you do it, just know where him and I stand. He wants
Okay.
you to watch. We both want you to watch it for the record.
Okay.
But I am a realist, and I'm going to say that after so much, I think the movie was 1992.
And Chaos is an optimistic.
The KX is an optimist. As edgy as he is an optimist. You know what I mean? And he I'm sure he feels that there's just no possible way you're not going to like this film. I, on the other hand, am not so optimistic, and I'm going to go with you're probably not going to like this film.
Oh, okay.
You'll appreciate it for what it is. I feel like that will be one of your verbatims. I appreciate it for what it is. You know what I mean? But I don't, you're not gonna enjoy it.
Okay.
And so because of that, it's like one of the things, like, I'm not in a rush for you to see it because it's going to be a letdown here, or for me, more of a confirmation, but it will definitely be a letdown for Chaos. I can only imagine that Chaos, the moment he knows that you've seen it, we're going to have to figure out some sort of scheduling. He's going to be like, I don't know. I have to be there to talk about it.
Yes.
And
he'll miss work.
He may
He'll
just
go
call
home.
into work, yes.
Yes.
Because he'll be like, fuck this shit. There's more important things to
We
life.
need to talk.
Yeah.
We need to
And then
talk
the sad part
right
is he'll call into work and then to hear the disappointment in his voice when you say, "Yeah, dude, I didn't really like this." You know, it's like I can only picture how crestfallen Chaos would be. You know what I mean? And because of that, I just don't want it to happen. At this point, it's just
See, this is the reason I don't want to watch. I don't want to disappoint anybody. I don't want to disappoint you. I don't want to disappoint him.
Yeah, but
So
you're not
now-
disappointing me. You're just confirming what I feel is going to happen anyway.
So okay. So you just want confirmation.
yeah. I feel like I'm nailing this prediction for the record. I feel like if there was any time I would put a bet in and feel really secure, it would be this. You know, but it is what it is. Anyway, that is not the hot topic of the week, guys.
Nope. But it's fun to make it one.
It is, actually, and we will. I still say, sidebar here. I still say we have an experiment set to go, and I am eager. But the whole deal is, I need to know because I need to watch them. Also, I've watched one of them. The other one I haven't watched in a little while. So because of that, I want to be prepared and watch both throughout that week before we do this. So please don't spring it. Hey, I watched this. Let's make that a hot topic. Like, fuck, I gotta watch both of them like in 24 hours. Shit. You know, for somebody who has issue with time, don't do that to them, please. Thank you.
No.
Anyway, the hot topic again. Once again, guys, it is all about
Getting
get
good.
Yeah, it's about the
It's
get
all
good
about
culture.
getting good.
Yeah.
Whew.
Where do
That's
we
a loaded
start?
one.
Yeah. Where do we start with this this topic? Here's what I'm going to start with,
I'm
sir.
gonna put my boxing gloves on.
I want to
And my
start with
flame retardant.
I want to start with where this all began. I feel like we both know of a particular incident, Polygon related, that kind of ignited a recent, and when I say recent, 2016, a recent, or maybe 2015 at this point, because the game came out in 2016.
That's not recent anymore.
Well, you know, it's 1 year more. Basically, it kind of ignited the whole get good thing and really took it out of proportion. Do you recall the event I'm referring to, by the way? Or am I speaking foreign language?
Does it have to do with Cuphead? No, I don't know.
No, it has to do with Doom 2016.
With Doom 2016? Oh, no. I refreshed my memory.
So Polygon was doing a preview of Doom 2016, and they had a particular person, one of their editors, previewing the game. And in the gameplay, it was pretty clear this person is not very good, or I guess I shouldn't say it that way. Is not. No, there's really no way of saying it.
No.
Is not very good at first-person shooters.
Yes.
And
I
to the sense,
now.
you remember now? Where,
Oh, please bring it up.
yeah. Basically, it's clear he strafes. When he strafes left to right. He doesn't even turn as he's strafing. You know, you could just see that this isn't his type of game.
Mm-hmm.
And for a media corporation who's supposed to be previewing the game, you kind of want somebody who knows what they're doing, at least within first-person shooters. It was fairly obvious that this wasn't, and who knows, he may have drew the short straw, and he didn't want to do it, but nobody else did, so he
maybe
did.
he was covering for someone, yeah.
Or maybe he was covering for exactly. You never know. You never know the reason behind that, but
yeah,
the reality is that sparked something, and of course, apparently you recall the Cuphead one, which I heard of, but I don't know much about. Do you have specifics?
No,
on that?
I know. I just mentioned Cuphead because I remember my argument with Sparrow. When we're talking about the
Well, no, Cuphead was
actually you
Cuphead
were also
sparked it as
involved
well.
in it.
Yeah,
about the addition of easier.
But it was also it was easier modes. Yeah, it was also
Easier modes,
because
yeah.
of the preview of Cuphead. I remember that being. I don't know who did that one, so I'm not going to say any
I
outlet
don't
because I'm
remember
not
that one,
entirely sure. But there were previews being done of Cuphead, and again, whoever was behind playing it of these particular outlets were obviously having difficulty with the game. Now, in their defense, Cuphead's not easy,
Mm.
especially if you're just picking it up for the first time.
Mhm.
There is a steep learning curve in Cuphead. Now, doesn't mean they can't get good. That doesn't mean they
Mhm.
can't get better at the game. Because obviously through gameplay you can. But the initial reaction was, oh, and this was, I think, I don't know if it was in relationship to Doom or around that time, but basically, it all kind of said, again, here we go. Someone who isn't good at this particular game is the one showing it off. And so that kind of sparked the entire, hey, you guys should get good, or the media outlets, and then from there, forget it. Get good has become a, I don't know, a thing. It's become
Well,
this ugly phrase that has just kind of it's gotten out of control a little bit. I think
I
we can
mean,
all agree on that.
let's be real. Get good has been in service. Actually, it's been in use since the days prior to Dark Souls, and I feel like the Reddit posts and the general posts in forums about the difficulty of Dark Souls and how people some people will argue that it was like fair. Like, I totally believe that game is hard but fair. And some people were like, no, this is ridiculous, and that's where it kind of came to life and became this beast. And someone asked in the group the other day, well, what's wrong with get good mentality?
Mhm.
And in reality, it's not so much like, yes, we do believe that if you enjoy something, first of all, you're not fucking forced to play anything that you're not enjoying. All right, so there's
For sure.
you don't have anything to demonstrate to anyone but yourself. If you want to do that, if you want to challenge yourself, fantastic. If you want to challenge others, then join a fucking Nintendo Championships or whatever. But if you're enjoying something and you're getting frustrated because of difficulty, but you still want to continue playing, then obviously, yeah, you want to continue practicing, and that's the only way that you can get good at it. But there's get good as a description of, hey, you should continue practicing, and there is the dismissive, oh, just get good, that the internet uses for the most part when they use that term. And the problem is the dismissal. The problem is the elitism of this game is hardcore and it's meant to be hardcore, and you have no reason to complain because you knew what you were getting into. That's all fine and good, but you're not the fucking guard of that. and if a person is being dismissive of a game, like if I were to say, well, Dark Souls is shit because difficulty is hard, well, no, that's not true. A game is not shit because it's difficult. A game is shit because of flaws, and difficulty is
Balancing,
not a flaw.
yeah. No
It's
balance,
actually, yeah, you can have, difficulty spikes could be seen as flaws, but choosing a game that is hard, like, say, for example, a game like Cuphead, that game is not flawed. That was a decision of the developer to make it a challenging game, and there's nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong either with expressing the wish of having, and this is actually where I see where I have the problem. The expressing the wish to have a lower difficulty on a game like that, and people immediately gets like up in arms about the mere mention that it should have one. And when you consider when you're when you consider the fact that you want games, or you hope that you want games to be enjoyed by as much people as possible.
Massive. Mhm.
A. B. You want the game to sell well, so that they make another fucking another one. And you play on your standard difficulty, and it doesn't affect in any way that your child is playing on the easy difficulty because he or she is a child, or it doesn't have to be a child. I'm just using that as an example. It could be another. Fuck, it could be an old fart like me, that I don't have the reflection, the reflexes. Sorry, I don't have the reflexes for those type of games. I like to see it. It'll be cool. And if I wanted to play it on an easier difficulty, I like to have the option. It's not robbing you of anything, and it's also not condescending anyone. It's an option, and there has never been anything wrong with having, in having options. That's basically my.
Yeah, I can agree with that, but I also feel that just like there is this toxic group of folks on the get good side of things where they're like, hey, you just need to get good, whatever the case may be, however they phrase it, however they, whatever.
That's actually how they phrase it.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying whatever they're referring to, saying just as you have that toxic side of get good, you have this other side that is also fairly demanding when it comes to, hey, this should have this. And you have forums, and you have petitions, and you have a lot of, you have folks even with a game like Returnal, where the guys at Housemarque had literally said, yeah, guys, and we're probably not going to do it because it just wasn't designed to have that. You know what I mean? Yep. And so have that meaning a save file in between, because it is, it is a roguelike, and it's not an easy roguelike, and a run could take you a little bit, take you some time. Realistically, I never had an issue with it. That has nothing to do with skill. It's just, for whatever reason, I just had the game loop for me never had me going, I just want to run again. You have some people who after an hour and a half to 2 hour run, like, I can't do anymore. You know what I mean? I can't do anything at this point. So I get that. But either way, the point is, you had this group of folks going, this needs to have it. And by not having it, it broken.
Makes it a lesser game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's broken. It's not good, because it's like, that's not
dumb.
the case. And in many ways, the way Get Good can ignite one side, this side saying, hey, this should have this, and if it doesn't, it's a lesser product, will ignite the Get Good crowd. Right. Obviously, both can be toxic in their own ways, and toxicity is never a good thing, no matter what angle you think you're coming from. You know what I mean? And I think that, but there's something to be said where right now, believe it or not, or more recently, Housemarque has had some folks working on perhaps putting that thing in there, some sort of save state, or something that can adjust it. And of course, that now rallies those to go, oh well, at least my trophies will count because of the date that I got the trophy prior to the, what I'm saying? It becomes this weird thing, and it's just like, again,
that's silly.
It is very silly, but I can also understand to a certain extent a level of pride. I have a certain level of pride in saying I beat Returnal, and I was going to quit more than once, more than twice. You know what I mean? I was just like, at some point I was like, yeah, I just don't think I have it in me anymore. And credit to the game, the gameplay loop kept me coming back and just running and running and running, and I was always having fun, even when I died, at the very fucking end, just to start it all over again. And it's a credit to the game, but I think it's important that there isn't a name to the other side. We can look at the Get Good community, and when I say the GitGud community, I'm referring to specifically the ones who are toxic in many ways, and say we have a name, we have sort of a face in the title, GitGud. We don't have one for the other one, so a lot of people just assume there isn't another one. That's not really the case. There is another one, just there isn't a name for it. And unfortunately, with leftist media the way it is, you're probably not going to get a name for it. But they're there, and they're just as bad because they are also reaching out to these developers and being very negative and I don't want to say death threats because I don't know if that's always the case, but they can always be annoying to a development team saying you need to do this because it's broken. And if that's the case, it's just as bad as those who are roaming around forums yelling, "Get good, motherfucker, get good." You know what I mean? So
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm convinced that the returnal save feature that they're asking about is necessarily about difficulty, though. I think it's more like that. I see that feature more as a quality of game.
I agree.
Quality of life. In other words, which doesn't necessarily affect it's gameplay. It's almost like a better suspend mode, right? Because we already know that in Returnal, if you want to stop playing, you have to put your system to sleep. But then if there's an update, then there goes your run. But if you have
there's a power outage, there goes
a power outage, exactly. Yeah. But if you have a save that doesn't allow you to continue reloading, that as soon as you load it the first time, it erases it, kind of like Nintendo DS used to do with their suspend feature. I think that's more a quality of life because, and it should be easily implemented because
you would think it would.
You would think it was, yeah, but I'm no programmer, so I'm not sure. It could be possible for I know, but it doesn't sound like it should affect. It should affect the difficulty of the game if done right. Yeah, if done in an exploitative way where I can just, I fucked up, let me just reload that the game. Then yeah, that'll be affecting the challenge. But then again, that will be Housemarque's fault for doing a poor implementation, because the ideal way will be, like I said, you need to go to bed, suspend, save it, go down. When you go back up, you load it and gets deleted, and that way it can be exploited. And whoever's gonna exploit it, let's face it, whoever's gonna exploit the game, they would have found already a way to exploit the game. So it's not.
I mean, in that case, so we already know that Housemarque was trying to fix stuff, and in fixing stuff, broke other stuff for many folks, yourself included.
Oh yeah, I remember.
So there's also a part of that going, hey, we've got it running, it's running great. Do we really want to fuck it up now to try to do something else? So there is that part of it. There's another part of it which I think it's kind of spoilery in the sense that, as I think I mentioned it to you, because you're pretty obvious that it's not going to continue. So this is a little spoilery for Returnal. Nothing story-like, but it's really just the basis of how the game works. And that is, everybody just assumes there's 6 biomes. So in order for you to complete it through, you have to run through all 6. That's not really the case. And there's a gameplay reason behind it. That part I will leave it alone, or a story reason behind it. I'll leave it alone completely. But essentially, you make it in
5 minutes.
You make it to biome 4, and from that point, you're always starting from biome 4. So you don't really go back to biome 1, 2, and 3. So that becomes your starting point. So once you figure out the basics behind, and I really think that was their design choice to say, once they see the quickness of it, or how you get around these things, then you realize it's not really that long. You know what I mean? Because once you understand how the first biome works, you spend very little time there. You basically just running through it. Same thing with the second one. And you know what I mean? It's just there's a gameplay and story reason for this. And to do anything different suddenly becomes it almost takes away from that. And I feel that it's a better game for it to include the way it is. And I feel like it would be lesser to include some sort of save state, because maybe you may miss the intensity behind knowing I don't want to have to even though you only go back to Biome 4, I don't
The
want to have to.
intensity of knowing that, oh shit, at any time this good run that I'm doing could go away just because I needed to go to bed or to eat, and suddenly there was a brownout, and my game
That's
is
the
gone.
worst. Yeah, I mean, a brownout's a brownout. It's gonna go out no matter what.
I have a PlayStation 5 on a UPS battery.
Battery?
No joke.
So
I
do I.
actually have. Because, yeah. Oh yeah. So do you. Yeah. So the bringing it to more recent events that sparkled this this
Oh yeah, the
controversy.
most recent one. Real quick, I wanted to read that comment of the gentleman you spoke with. I mean, you spoke about Mike Pre on that particular
yes.
post, actually, which was a Microsoft. The post is Microsoft calls for an end to quote get good, and Mike Pre, a GG regular, he says, "Why does everyone hate the get good crowd? Before I played Dark Souls 3, it had been 20 years since I played a game that wasn't tailored for you to beat with ease. From Assassin's Creed to Zelda, there is not much challenge left. I guess playing some games on the hardest difficulty can still be challenging, but it shouldn't take over. It shouldn't take over the top AI sliders to make a challenging game across the board." And from here, I had a reply to him as well. It's like I think he understood, just the way he said get good, GETGOOD. It's like, yeah, it's almost like I get where you're coming from because you're not of the GUD group. You know what I mean? It's like I almost understand that. But go ahead. You were mentioning the article, the Kotaku article.
Yeah. And to my case, he's coming from a valid point. It's like, hey, there is a point and place for hard games, and I agree. Don't get me fucking wrong. If I say, let's say, just for example, so that I don't offend anyone, even though I'm going to offend everyone with this. If I say Dark Souls should have a difficulty setting, which I am not because I don't believe in it, but if I say that, that might be me expressing wish that, oh man, I wish that I could actually play play that game, but I don't wish it that much that I want to practice. I just want to see the story or whatever. It's whatever. Game X, doesn't have to be Dark Souls. I'm just using an example, which is entirely valid and opinion, because it's a fucking opinion, which is different from demanding that a game needs to have X or Y feature, because a game is the vision of the developer, and whichever way the developer chose to do it is, it's the way that the goes out, and it's the right way, because in their mind that's what they wanted to do. You might not agree with it, but then again, we don't agree with a lot of things. That's what makes
us great.
That's what makes opinions, and that's perfectly fine. The dismissive portion, having difficulty is fine. It's good. Having people be dismissive of you because you're not at their skill level is a dick move.
For sure.
That is what I mean. I'm sure that you all do also, but like, I hate that shit. I hate that, the people that and a lot of them I recognize, they're fucking masters. We got great people in the group, like Dark, for example. That cat can play, and he is good. He is fucking amazing, and he's the humblest person that you will meet, bar none. He doesn't throw that on your face. He does quite the opposite. He literally nurtures you to hey, do you want? Are you interested in it? If you're interested, I will help you. I will help you. Same thing with fucking chaos. You know, we got people that have those skill levels, but they don't flaunt them like if it was some sort of like badge, that elitist flash badge that, well, you know, I got this far. I don't want you to be here. I don't want you to be where I'm at. You know, only I'm allowed.
No,
Um,
on the contrary, they're encouraging. You know what I mean? I'm playing Dark Souls 3 now,
mhm,
and I will be the first to say that I recognize that I recognize that my gaming skills are atrophy. I
mhm,
can see it. I can feel it. I can see that these, there's certain things where I'm like I was, this is an example, but I was playing a particular boss, which actually shared a fight with it. I think I only shared the fight that I took them out in,
mhm,
but it was probably the 20th time. And what was frustrating me about the fight was that I knew what I needed to do, but I couldn't react fast enough. Like
mhm.
I knew where I needed to do it, how I needed to do it, and it came out sometimes, but not all the time. And I knew it was just my own reaction, my own gaming. You know what I mean? It was frustrating me to no end. But to jump on what you're saying is that chaos and also dark and many others,
Mhm.
for the record, you know what I mean, who want you to get good at game, but they don't sit in the camp of get good, and that is they're encouraging. It's like, dude, you got this, man, you got this. You know what I mean? And that's the encouragement you should have, as opposed to, dude, just get good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It says that's the line I think that's missing with a lot of these idiots on the internet, and it's like there is no encouragement; it's more
Mhm.
mockery. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And when
exactly.
it's mockery, it's just like, well, now you're just being an asshole.
It's just
You know
being
what I mean? Yeah.
it's just being very very exclusive and very precious with, with their games. And like, dude, like, seriously, like, grow up at that, at that
Oh,
point.
for
You know what I
sure. Yeah.
mean? It's
Yeah.
like, yes, I absolutely agree that there is games should not be changed on the whim of the player, if that was not the original intention
Correct. Correct. Because not every
of the
game
developer.
is for every gaming
Exa-
is for everyone, but not every
but not
game is
every
for
game is
everyone. Yeah.
for everyone,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that's
and
okay.
um and there's and just the same, there is nothing wrong with expressing dissatisfaction over that. You know, the hard part comes from when you take it, when you take it too far, when you let those thoughts cloud your judgment about a game, about a game's quality, just because it doesn't meet your particular specific needs. Like, I could fault a game like Cuphead for being too hard, because it's too hard for me. But guess what, that game is fucking incredible.
Oh yeah.
Incredible.
Oh
It
yeah.
is. It might as well be the closest 10, 10 out of 10, from what I've seen. I don't know,
Have
that
you
there might
played
be
it at
things.
all?
And
Ever?
I played a little bit. I did a couple of the areas, but I started noticing that, oh man, I'm struggling with this a lot. I mean, right now I'm playing Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection. I fucking dare you to put that game on and play it and not feel the heat. That game is hard as and in some areas, I will almost say this is unfairly difficult. That game also has settings where you could actually make it a little bit easier, a little bit easier. It's completely optional. I have chosen not to use them, but I am very glad that they're there,
I have a question
because
on that
if
because
if
go ahead. I'm sorry.
because if I at some point I'm far enough in the game, and I'm already tired of the game hitting me upside the head with its difficulty, and I just want to get it done with, I want to have the option of toning it down a little bit, just to continue without having to have the elitist as person on the back being like, game, and you're You need to get good. And you know that there was a big backlash. The moment people learned that that game had difficulty settings, dude, in the fucking group itself, there were people already like,
That's what
and
I was
it's
going
like,
to ask. Yeah, I was going to say
why
it was
does it
like
matter?
that's the question I had. It was like, so it's one thing to say it comes out a certain way, and either because of backlash or some sort of feedback, a change occurs.
Mhm.
At that point, you have a crowd going, wait. Are you doing this because you want to do it, or are you doing it because of the feedback? And sure, they can say whether they want, but the question mark is always going to be there.
Yeah, but
However,
it shouldn't. It shouldn't matter. It's the developers. It's their game. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
be that as it may, we do know that internet backlash can. It's scary when internet backlash can make mountains move. Period.
True. Yeah.
Because it shouldn't be that way. If that was the original intent, and because of force, they feel they need to change it, they
Mhm.
may say, "Oh, we're making this decision," but we'll never know.
Mhm.
Because if you really had that choice, why wasn't it there to begin with?
Mhm.
So, perfect example. Celeste. Celeste came out. Celeste is a difficult ass game.
Mhm.
Play that
Yep.
shit on regular, whatever the fucking mode that it comes in. I didn't change anything. However, there were plenty of modes, even an extremely simple mode where you never really die. You just
Mhm.
play through the game, basically. There was no backlash. No one said anything about that. It was probably one of the darlings of that year that it came out. So,
Yeah.
what's the difference between that and the fact that Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection was very open about its difficulty settings up front? Not like
Mhm.
they put it in later or mention it later, but they're getting backlash. That's the question mark I have. And the only thing I can think of is, it's because it's Ghosts and Goblins. It's an established franchise that already was hard. Could
Well,
that be it?
well, let me see, because I really, I don't know the direct answer for this one, but for this question, but maybe we can explore it together. With another question, actually, if suddenly Housemark decided to put a difficulty slider on Returnal,
Mhm.
do you think that makes it a lesser game based on
No.
the experience you had?
Well, I mean, to me personally, I've already experienced it. Have no desire to go back. So no, to me, it doesn't make a lesser game. But considering said backlash or said feedback, if you will, because it's never backlash. It's always backlash if it's one side, but it's always just feedback if it's the other side. And that's what frustrates me. It's also what frustrates a lot of people who are not on the GitGud camp, but they still feel like, well, you really should just try getting better at it. You know what I mean? It's like when you sit in that camp and you look at it and you go, is this a decision you're making? Or is this a decision that's being enforced because of pressure from somewhere? And the problem is, like I said, when Get Good Camp says something, it's backlash. It becomes this internet whatever. But when it's not the Get Good Camp, it's the other side of it. It's just, well, there's some feedback regarding how this is. You know what I mean? It's treated differently, but it's still just as negative because it's like you're still backlashing against a developer who really had no intention of bringing that in there. Because again, if they did, it would have been in there. What? You tell me what roguelike has a difficulty setting? So if they were to put one in there, how can that not be viewed? Even if Housemark says no, we're just wanting to try something different or a new option or whatever thing that they spew out. How can it not be viewed as you're being pressured by someone because you are so adamant in saying this was our vision? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And at that point, you're saying, I don't want to say us like I sit on the Get Good camp because I'm not really on that camp, but it's just like me. I'm going where I'm like I'm okay with a good challenge. Am I always going to finish it? No. You know, I didn't finish Salt and Sanctuary. I didn't finish a lot of these difficult games because they're challenging. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But I never once said, hey, it needs to have this. What it's like, no, these were always really good stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
How can I sit in this camp and go, I feel for the get good only because a lot of them are just like me, not really that negative troll that's on the internet. You know, a lot of them feel like, hey, these games have their place and they should just be left the way they are because that's how they were intended. And when you suddenly see a change, you're left with that question mark because you don't know. You don't know if it's that other side who is never looked at as negative. They're looked at as just feedback. They're just, hey, they're giving their opinion, and you know what I mean? And they're just
Well,
trying to be inclusive, if you want to throw
just
that in there as well. You know, so, and it appears that way. It may not be that way. For the record, it may not be
right.
that way. But you're still left with that question mark because the reality is most of them come out and they say, no, this is what we intended. And the
I
moment they
think
move, I'm sorry, I'm going to say the
no, no,
moment they move a notch, you're left with, well, what happened? You know?
right, right. I think I see the way I see the balance of things is so you get the the easy wanters. I don't know what to call them because you're right. They don't have a
The
they
easy
don't
ones.
have
They don't have a label. They don't
they don't
have a
have a
label. Yeah,
label.
yeah.
Let's call it.
And we don't want to
You know,
make one up either,
the
for the
easy,
record. Yeah, yeah.
the easy.
The
Just for
opposite end.
reference.
We'll just okay.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
the non game. Okay, the non get good. The non get good crowds have this have it this way. Or I should say I should start the other way. The get good crowd
Mhm.
wants it this way. The game was created, and it is difficult. And if you want to, if you want to beat it, you need to get good at it, right? I'm not. I don't want to skew words or anything like that.
Yeah,
I don't mean you need to get
if
good
you
in it.
want to
I'm not saying
enjoy the
you need to.
game,
You
yeah,
need to. You need to. You need
need
to
to
practice. Exactly.
practice makes perfect. Something
Right.
we've been
Right.
taught forever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. The non get good has said. Oh, and by the way, they still have their game.
Mhm.
They still have the game.
Yeah.
The non
Get good.
get good. Thank you. Have it. Well, I don't get to. I can't play this game because it's too difficult. Let's say.
Yeah.
I wish it had an easy difficulty slider, X or Y game in general, whatever. And they're asking for that, but they don't get that. They don't get to play. They're excluded from they're excluded from playing that game at all, and that's fine because they might say, well,
Are they excluded?
not every game is for everyone, and I get that. I get that, but suddenly there doesn't seem to be a balance that way. You know what I mean? It looks a little one sided, and again, I'm not arguing for the people that I'm not arguing for games. All games should have an easy setting. I'm just being a realist. Not everybody is skilled,
True.
and at the end, if a game like and I'm just using Return as an example, not necessarily because it's a roguelike, but just because it's a challenging game. If that game suddenly they decide to add a difficulty slider, the game's still a great game. The game still have the hard difficulty or the normal difficulty that you played in. So it doesn't take anything of that away. Why does it matter that now others can get to play it at their level? Like why does that? Because it feels like it feels like we say, well, it doesn't make it a lesser game, but at the same time we're advocating for, but it shouldn't happen. I just want to know, well,
not that it shouldn't happen. I see. So in that particular case, if House, let's just lose Returnal at this point.
Right.
If Housemarque were to implement a difficulty slider into, first off, it would be, I think, unprecedented to have a roguelike with a difficulty slider.
Well,
first
taking
off.
away the roguelike, I'm using Returnal as an
I
example.
know.
But
I'm
this could
saying,
be Cuphead. This could be
okay, so
fucking
let's just say if it
Hollow
was to be
Knight.
if it was to be a cherished, challenging game that suddenly the developer implemented it. Honestly, if they the reality is if they implement it, it comes from the developer. In many ways, everyone is kind of left with, well, we got to trust this is what they wanted to do, right?
Mm.
I mean, there's really nothing else to do at that point.
Right.
Does it make it a lesser game? Honestly, that's more of a. The reality is that's really your own perception, because is it a game that suddenly requires a certain skill to master, or is it a game that, hey, anybody can pick up and play regardless of skill? And if skill is something that you value in when it comes to gaming, then you're going to see it as a lesser game. Does that make it a bad thing to see in a lesser game? No, it really is your opinion. Everybody's
But the option is
opinion.
still there. They
You do have
don't
the option,
change
but
that normal option. You know, so
true, the option
you
is
still
still
have
there,
your
but
challenge.
when you have a difficulty slider, you know, we all know how most of how programming works when it comes to this. And there's a lot of balancing involved when you're going to have some sort of difficulty slider. So, sure, you have the you would assume you have the main mode there and nothing's been changed, but you really don't know what's been altered in any way. And secondly, like I said, it's still like, to use the perfect example, Sekiro is a perfect example of this, where it's like the you I don't even know if a difficulty slider will even work in that game, because it's not even about that. It really is about you learning the moves of everyone that you're fighting against. And because you learn it and you see it as it happens, you react to it. And that's what they're selling. That's literally what they're selling.
You know how
Because-
I can make that game easier? Just every hit you take less damage. That's all this slider does.
No, I got that. I got what you're saying. But is that what the ultimate? So okay, you take less damage, but you're getting hit with a sword. How many hit? If you're trying to make this realistic, how many hits with a katana can you realistically take before you die?
Well, if you're playing easy, you're not going for realism. You don't care about that. You just
Hence
want to
the
see the
reason.
game
If
through.
if you're playing easy, then realism is already kind of realism in combat. Combat realism is now out the window.
Right.
But if that's not,
I will argue
if that
any
was the
difficulty
intent-
combat will be out of it, because if you take one hit with a sword, it should fucking kill you for real.
Well,
You know?
I'm sure
I
there's
see
been
what-
some, you know,
I see what you say.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that, you know, it's also the reality is all subjective, right? So to go back to answer your question is like, if they were to do it, does it make a lesser game? It depends how much you weigh, you know, the fact that it requires a skill, or rather, how much you weigh skill in playing a game. How much you value that? You know what I'm saying? And if you value that highly, then yes, you can view that as a lesser game. Does it mean it's a lesser game? It depends on what. Again, the answer is it depends on where you put that at. You know what I mean?
Well, then let me broaden it for you. Is you know, because if you only focus on how you see it, then you're just being selfish. At that point, it's a selfish decision to say, well, it's a lesser game because no, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. I'm asking, like, in general, does it generally make it a lesser? Does it take away anything from the what the developers were able to achieve?
Personally, if you were to add a slider to the game, I'm playing Dark Souls 3. You add a slider to it where they immediately hit less, and suddenly, you know, anybody could just race to, you know, the Soul Cinder and get to the end and not really feel the struggle that it should be to get there, because that's what I feel they are trying to portray. Then yes, I would think it's a lesser game. And does it mean make it a bad game? No, not at all. Still a great game. You know what I mean? But is it lesser because of it? Yeah, probably a bit.
So you agree that what makes it lesser is your own opinion of the game, not necessarily what the game is.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Okay.
said it's subjective.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's completely
So
subjective.
I asked because everyone knows Bayonetta is one of my favorite games.
Mhm.
I really like Bayonetta. Bayonetta 1 specifically. And that game is challenging. You know,
It is. Yeah.
it's not Dark Souls or anything like that, but it is challenging. It is.
No, but it has its moments. I was
Yeah.
playing it, yeah, and that's I don't know
It
what
could
it is I
get-
hit. Yeah,
It
it
could
has
get,
its spikes. Yeah,
yeah. That game has a difficulty level. That game came out in 2011. Around 2011, I was in a relationship with. I had a girlfriend that had kids, or actually 2010 maybe, and I had a 6-year-old girl. Her favorite game was Wii Sports, and that game had a difficulty where she was able to play Bayonetta and pass stages with just pressing a couple buttons. 6-year-olds playing the game. Playing Bayonetta, actually. Great example. Great parenting, by the way, on my part, right?
hey, no judgment.
But I still look at I saw it, I was amazed. First of all, that a game could get down to be that easy. A game that is technically a hardcore game, you know, and it could go down to be that level. That level of simplistic and easy. You could just boil it down to pressing two buttons. It was literally baby mode. A baby was playing that game. Literally. Doesn't get more literal than that.
Yeah.
But the game, it's in my opinion, I mean, generally has been positively received. You know, it's not a 10, but generally has been positively
but
received.
it is. Yeah, ultimately, it's a good game, a really good game.
Right. I don't think any of the reviews gave it a hard time for. Well, the game has difficulty settings, and that was never an issue on any of. Not a single review, and I will pay you to find me one that will say, well, the bad thing is that it has difficulty settings. Not a single one. One, because that is, just like you said, it's subjective. It is your own interpretation, your own opinion of it. And if a developer were to choose to have, let's say, I don't know, Death Stranding. I don't know. I'm trying to be inclusive in my games here.
Yeah,
let's say Death Stranding, and suddenly Death Stranding had an easier mode. We both beaten Death Stranding. Death Stranding had an easier mode where you didn't have to worry about weight, and that's the choice that they decided to put. Oh shit! They put invincibility. You could not die. It doesn't take away anything of it. Anything from the fact that game was still shit, but it was awesome shit. No, that game was still a great, crazy game. That's my point. My point is we need to stop being precious about our challenging games. Should be challenging to us. We shouldn't need to impose the challengeness upon people and just belittle them for wanting to play it on an easier setting. Who cares? Sure. Because you're not playing on, you're never playing on that setting. And I'm not saying every game should have it. I do believe the game should be inclusive. Obviously, it's an industry that we want to grow, and also, guess what? The games that are the hardcore games that or the games that have more people play it, they sell better. So if I want a sequel to a game that I like because I'm very precious about it, because I like the challenge that we provide me, yada yada yada, I should advocate for having more people play it. I should not be doing petitions. I should not be arguing against the developers. It's ultimately at the developers' end. If they want to make it, if they want to put a fucking slider or not, Cuphead will not become a bad game for having a difficulty slider. It won't. It won't. It'll still be a stellar game, and people that beat it on its real mode, that was meant to be played, they beat it of that game. Gears of War has the hard difficulty as this is the way it's meant to be played. Well, guess what? Fuck me, I had to crank it up to this is the way it's meant to be played, because that's the developers telling me this is the way that you should be playing this, this game to get the experience, But if at any point I get frustrated, there was a game, I think, I don't remember which one, but it was kind of recent, where I said, I started on hard, but I need to put it down. I'm not at that level anymore. That should be fine. Nobody should be judged by either their choice or their skill level or their choice. And it's not about, this is not a life lesson that we need to be giving when we're talking about video games. Video games are meant to be experiences that escapist experiences. This is what you do for relaxing, for having a good time. If you enjoy if your relaxation is being challenged, then more power to you. But that's not everybody. I was
going to say, it's not always relaxation.
It's not
there are multiple reasons to be getting into the game. For yourself, okay, if that's what you're wanting to do, or for anyone who wants to use it as escapism, then that's one reason to do it. For others who want to add stress to their life, you know what I mean? That, hey, more power to you if that's what you want to fucking do. But
I think they want to be challenged will sound better. But obviously,
if
they want to be challenged, there is a want that they're fulfilling. There's something that they want to do. If they want to play a challenging game, because that's actually what calls them, because they are at that level. They are the darks and the chaos of the world. Then that game should be there. And guess what? Even better. Yeah, give me a fucking difficulty, a slider on Dark Souls 3. Guess what? Give me a harder difficulty. Because just as it could go down, it should go up also. And now let's talk about beating the game.
I mean, like I said, I can understand to a certain extent, but I mean, and I guess I can just end with this particular thing. But the same exact thing that you were mentioning with or similar, I guess, what you mentioned with Bayonetta is with Nick, and playing a lot of older games that I had downloaded onto my Wii, which I still own, and I still own my Wii. I still have those games downloaded. Hopefully they still play, but they're there. And if there's one thing I never forget him saying is like, is there a is there a mode? And I'm like, no, this is just how they came. And I'm specifically talking about games like the first Ninja Gaiden, which I love to death, and I still own on, and that was, if I remember correctly, the very first old school versus new school. You know what I mean? And it was playing just the first level of that, and that triggered something in him to realize, oh shit, this is not this, it's not always going to come with these things. I think that was his first realization, that because he came into gaming in an era where it was a little handholdy, and the more time passed, it became more handholdy. You know what I mean? And so he kind of had that, and when he saw us, that that's not how gaming used to be. Gaming used to really throw you on the edge, you know what I'm saying? And to the point where he was throwing controllers, because, and I laugh because, like, man, I remember those days. You know what I mean? It was just like, I knew what he was going through. It's just like, yeah, that's how those games were. And I think that there sure, does it need to be a lesson? No, it is just gaming after all. But at the same time, it can also be the lesson where it's hey, this time sometimes it's just it's just what you're handed. So what are you going to do with it? Are you just going to say, fuck it, I'm done? Which you can say, and there's nothing wrong with that. Or are you just going to fucking try better, learn to jump sooner, learn to dodge earlier, or or shoot first, whatever the case may be. It's like it's one of those things where you don't realize you're even playing a challenging game because you're just running. And now he's fucking dude. I can tell you right now. In my heyday, I was great at Street Fighter 2 and all this stuff. I am nowhere near that at this one. He plays Mortal Kombat like a beast, bro. I don't even know what he's doing half the time. You know what I mean? And it all stems from this, and he, not that he's a get good crowd or anything like that, but it's just he realizes, hey, difficulty is not always something you can choose. It's just the way it's handed, and you either deal with the way it's handed or you let it go. And again, the option to let it go is always an option, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I agree 100% that, if someone chooses not to play it or chooses to play it on a setting, you're absolutely right. They should not be in any way mocked. And it's like, no, that's just their choose. That's the decision they made. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think there's an argument for both sides. And I think overall, I think the most important thing we need to take about it is that one, there is an opposite to the get good crowd. We just don't have a name for them. And it's important to realize that they're there and they can be just as negative. And two, let's not be negative. Let's just say, hey, it is what it is. And if a game's company decides to change that, their game for to include whatever it is, like it is what it is. Nothing takes away from what you did at its time,
I think oops I think that I mean, I don't necessarily think that games should be where you challenge yourself necessarily if you don't want to. I mean, like say for example, if you want to take games should be lifeless, like there's so many other ways that you could actually improve. Like if you want to get good at life, get good at life skills, get good at social skills, get good at being a decent human being, and not act like a jerk to others just because they don't feel the same way as you do. There are skills that you can get, all crafting skills and things that will challenge your mind if that's what you're looking for. I don't necessarily think that games need to be that lesson, because games, it's in the name. It's just a pastime. It should be relaxing. It shouldn't be taxing. And what I mean by that is I don't mean it in the sense of, again, because I want to reiterate, because I know that my words are going to be changed. I'm not advocating against difficult games. If it was meant to be like that, it's like that. What I'm advocating is about stop worrying if the game you already beat, and you already play or you're about to play, suddenly has an easier mode, and also be realistic, because Microsoft, I feel like they try to be progressive, but they just went into like a ridiculous town, where they were like, beating a game on easy is still beating the game.
No,
and I agree
with invincibility. Difference.
No, but that came out separate. Hold on. Microsoft said beating the game on easy is still beating the game. Yes, I agree with that. It's beating the game on easy. You beat the game on easy. It's simple, and there should not be any shame on that. You don't have to like change the narrative. Like when you change the narrative is when you start looking like a fucking lunatic, cuckoo. When you start, you're gonna tell me that I beat Returnal on easy mode if you have one, and you beat Returnal on the normal difficulty, and suddenly I'm at your skill level. Like, that doesn't make any sense, you know. What made it even worse was when Double Fine came in and tweeted something along the lines and beating the game on with invincibility is still beating the game. And at that point, if you were already off the rails, at that point you just crashed on the ground and exploded, because it was like, what the fuck do you mean, Double Fine? If beating the game on difficulty on with invincibility, it's not beating the game at all. There was no challenge at all. You didn't even beat any, and that's starting to sound like a meme. That came out, but it's true. If there's easy, I can understand. You beat the game on easy.
Yeah.
It was easy,
Because
and you beat
easy is
it.
still easy
Easy.
challenge.
Easy is still
There's still a
challenge.
challenge behind it. Yeah.
There's no challenge on invisibility. You watched a YouTube video at that point that you control with your hand if you have invisibility. But guess what? There's nothing fucking wrong with having that option, because if someone needs it for whatever reason, let's say they're discapacitated, or for whatever reason they chose to play that game and like that, it is their prerogative and in no way whatsoever affects the way that you played or have played the game. But don't go out saying, oh, that's the same thing, because it's not. Don't try to change the narrative, because that looks stupid. And I think that was Microsoft's biggest faux pas with this thing, and I feel like that's the whole thing that brought up the conversation.
Yeah, it was Double
Again.
Fine specifically.
Yeah, it was Double Fine. It was, you don't beat the game. You train. You could. They call in the PC term, they call trainers. Where you just activate God mode and you just go through it and run through the game. It's almost like it's almost like it doesn't matter. Yeah.
What it is.
Yeah. But if it's competitive, then you're cheating. You know, because if it was a competitive game, but yeah,
For sure.
which cheating is another problem. We don't have to get into that.
That's a different topic for the night.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for tuning in and listening to us discuss the GitGud culture. As always, if this is your first time listening, please go to goodgame.rocks, join the conversation. Please become part of the Good Gamer group, excuse me. And of course, please. Whoa.
I don't know what the hell was that.
I feel like this is a setup. Please go. See, I already left. Oh, and please like, subscribe, and share the podcast with everyone. This is
You need to
Mad
get good
Dog.
at this, bro. You need to get good at this.
I need to get good at this.
Yeah.
At 2 a.m., I'm as good as I'm gonna be at this point. This is Mad Dog signing off this week, saying Cuba Libre, guys. We need a
you want a
free
drink?
Cuba. No, we
Oh,
need
okay,
to free
gotcha.
Cuba. And once
There
we
you
free Cuba, I'll have a Cuba Libre. Mr. Santos, take us home.
Y'all have been bamboozled, mofos. GG didn't stand for good game. GG standing for get good. Dream Twister out.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. GG!